Chapter 56 Snow Rock Castle's Training Grounds. Ho-ho! When Fei Xue's godly spear was executed, it naturally brought along snowflakes. In the surrounding snowflakes, there was a faint flicker of light. The black-robed Donghua Shui Ying was currently executing his spear technique to his heart's content. His current spear technique was completely different from the floating snow spear technique. The floating snow spear technique was like a blossoming spear flower. At this moment, Donghua Shui Ying's spear was retracted slightly after each thrust. The rotational force was much stronger. Furthermore, there was a large amount of heaven and earth energy gathered at the tip of the spear. The strong rotational force and the large amount of heaven and earth energy were being used as leverage. Just by retracting the spear slightly, he was able to thrust out a second time. Between the two spear tips, one could vaguely see the trajectory of the spear with the naked eye. Countless spear shadows, countless threads. It was like a light drizzle, connecting together to form threads. This was the second level of mysterious ice spear technique, Blood Rain. This technique seems to have utilized the heaven and earth energy to the extreme, reaching an unimaginable level. Using all the heaven and earth energy to increase my spear technique speed. Donghua Shui Ying exclaimed. The creator of this spear technique, Gu Yuan Han, had indeed pursued the spear technique's speed to an astonishing level. Although he was already one with the world, he had spent a total of 6 days just to learn this technique. If he were to create it himself, the requirements for his body's strength, the internal force of the spear technique, and the borrowing of the heaven and earth energy would be too high. Of course, this ice knight, Gu Yuan Han, had only decided to record down his spear technique when he stood at the peak of the transcendence and passed down his spear technique to his descendants. After learning the mysterious ice spear technique's Blood Rain, my spear technique's speed has increased. If I were to meet that God's envoy again, killing him would be much easier. Donghua Shui Ying revealed a smile. With a spear technique that was fast enough, it would cause the enemy to have a hard time defending. It would be hard for the enemy to avoid revealing an opening, and he would be able to take the opportunity to kill him. Snow Eagle. A person walked in from outside the training grounds. It was Zhongling. Zhongling sighed and said, "Your spear art has long reached perfection, but you still practice it every day. It really makes me feel ashamed. I also have to put in more effort to practice. The more I practice my spear arts, the more I feel how insignificant I am." Donghua Shui Ying raised his head and looked at the sky. Nature is full of mysteries. We're just mortals. The longer I practice my spear arts, the more confused I become. The profoundness of my spear arts, compared to the profoundness of nature, the difference is too great. It's not even worth mentioning. Haha, that's enough. What nature? We can't even feel what you're talking about. Isn't that even more pitiful? Zhongling joked. Donghua Shui Ying also smiled. He was only able to feel the profoundness of nature after achieving one with the world. His spirit could soar with the wind, soar with the flames, feel the heaviness of the earth, and flow with the water. Because the more he felt it, the more he understood the profoundness of nature. His heart was filled with reverence. For example, his own spear arts. When he was defending, he could faintly feel the profoundness of water. However, when his spirit and water were completely fused together, he could feel the natural flow of water. Yet, he realized how simple and crude his spear arts were. It was like the difference between a child's scribbles and a real natural scene. Of course, without achieving one with the world, the feeling wouldn't be this intense. Uncle Zong, Donghua Shui Ying asked curiously, "Why didn't I see Qin Shi today? He didn't even come back at noon?" "I heard from the soldiers that Qin Shi and his girlfriend brought some soldiers down the mountain early in the morning. They went to Water Rights Town to play." Zhongling's 6 arms held onto 6 scimitars as he started to perform a simple warm-up. "Youngsters are really good." "Oh," Donghua Shui Ying nodded. Qin Shi and his girlfriend's relationship was really good. He didn't find it strange that they would go to Water Rights Town to play every few days. The sun was setting. A group of soldiers was waiting on the side of the road. Next to them, a young couple was leisurely taking a walk, admiring the beautiful flowers and plants. This young couple was Qing Shi and Ji Rong. This little flower is really beautiful. Here, we can only see a little more flowers and plants in the summer. Normally, it's very cold and even covered with snow. Ji Rong plucked a small yellow flower and inserted it into her hair. She turned her head to look at Qing Shi and smiled brilliantly. Is it beautiful? Beautiful. In the entire water rights town, there aren't many beautiful women. Qing Shi also smiled. Although a few days ago, there was a trace of unhappiness between the two of them, Ji Rong didn't mention it again. Naturally, the relationship between the two of them gradually recovered. This time, they went to Water Rights Town together, so their mood was extremely good. Your mouth is really sweet, Ji Rong teased. How come I didn't know that your mouth was so sweet? But speaking of beauties, Sister Yu is prettier than me. All right, I found out that Sister Yu hasn't been to the castle these days. What's wrong? Did something happen between her and your brother? Qing Shi nodded. I also found out that Sister Yu hasn't been to the castle. I asked brother, but he told me not to ask. He also said that Sister Yu will never return to the castle again. He also told me to keep a distance from her. It seems like they broke up, Ji Rong said. Maybe. Qing Shi smiled. Actually, my brother and Sister Yu have never started. Ji Rong smiled. She was a little proud and carefree. Among the female disciples under by Yuan Ji, although she was confident in her appearance and temperament, she was always suppressed by Yu. In fact, just based on appearance, she was already very beautiful. Her eyes were even more attractive. It was just that her stature was a little small, but her body proportion was still very good, small, and exquisite. Kong Yu, on the other hand, was slightly taller and more graceful. In addition, Kong Yu seemed to treat everyone very well. So many disciples like her very much. In addition, she had an inexplicable relationship with Dongbo Shuang. Naturally, she became the leader amongst the female disciples. The sound of heavy hooves could be heard on the road beside them. A group of dark red armored cavalrymen was advancing. The leader of the cavalry was a young man with triangular eyes dressed in a gorgeous white robe. He looked to his left and right with a spirited appearance. Brother Zhao, this water rights town is really a remote place. Compared to our county city, it's so much worse. However, the two beauties sent by the Lord of Water Rights Town are not bad. The white-robed young man with triangular eyes laughed. Beside him was a grim gray-robed knight. Young master, you have played enough. When you enter the army, you'll have to obediently follow the rules. In other places, he can protect you. But in the army, you're not allowed to mess around. Don't worry, once I enter the army, I will definitely not mess around. The white-robed young man with triangular eyes said. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. Looking at Ji Rong, who was together with Dongbua and Qing Shi, he couldn't help but drool. Brother Zhao, look, she is quite a beautiful girl. She has a taste. Ji Rong was only 16 years old. She was slightly immature, but her figure was already quite good. As a female mage, her temperament was not something an ordinary girl could compare with. She wore a small wildflower on her head. This made the white-robed young man's heart itch. The number of female mages was very small. Beautiful female mages were even rarer. They were chased by some rich and noble children. Hey girl, the white-robed young man with triangular eyes shouted. The treading on snow horse immediately went out of the official road. He approached them and said with a smile, Brother will play with you, okay? The silly boy beside you is too young. He doesn't know the taste of a beauty. Brother will let you understand. Humph. Qing Shi and Ji Rong's complexion slightly changed. The soldiers of Snow Eagle territory were even more furious. Many of them even took out the star-breaking crossbows from their backs. Who are you? Qing Shi coldly shouted. At least in Water Rights Town, no one dared to provoke him. Young master. The gray-robed knight recognized the insignia on the armors of these soldiers. He rode his horse closer and whispered, This is Water Rights Town's Snow Eagle Territory's people. The leader of Snow Eagle Territory, Dongbua Shuang. When he was 15 years old, he went to the mountain range of Desolation and killed the Silver Moon Wolf King. Now, he should be a Silver Moon Knight. We're not far from the army. Let's not cause any trouble. Snow Eagle territory, Dongbua Shuang? The white-robed young man with triangular eyes frowned. If this was Azure River County, he wouldn't care about a mere Dongbua Shuang. His family in Azure River County had a lot of power. Although he had to listen to the Sea family, he was still quite powerful. But in any case, they were still quite powerful, and they looked down on the families of these remote small cities. But this time, he only brought a small escort team. The leader of the escort team was a meteor knight. Facing the Snow Eagle territory, it was still somewhat difficult. In his heart, he had already given up, but the white-robed young man with triangular eyes was not willing to back down. He sneered, "Who am I?" "Humph, a remote family like yours doesn't have the qualifications to know." "You heard it clearly." Ji Rong, who was standing beside Qing Shi, said angrily, "Is the Snow Eagle territory's Dongbua Qing Shi? His brother is the Snow Eagle territory's leader, Dongbua Shuang. You actually dared to tease me." "Qing Shi, did you not react at all? Did you just let him tease me?" "Apologize to her." How could Qing Shi lose face in front of his girlfriend? He immediately shouted, "Otherwise, don't even think of leaving Water Rights Town. Yo-Yo, you're really strong." The white-robed young man with triangular eyes, who had originally planned to give up, was already used to being arrogant. At this moment, his anger flared up. His eyes flashed with a cold light. "A small family in a remote area dares to be arrogant in front of me? You really overestimate yourself. Go, kill all the men, and take that little beauty away." He steeled his heart. After killing them, he will directly go to the army. By the time that Dongbua Shuang finds out, it will be too late. Yes, the group of dark red armored soldiers behind him, who were already used to killing, immediately complied. "You dare?" Qing Shi was shocked. "Just admitting a mistake, and you want to kill them? Go." The gray-robed knight frowned, but he still leapt down from his horse. A layer of green do chi appeared on the surface of his body as he charged forward at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this scene, the soldiers of the Snow Eagle territory were shocked. A meteor knight? The Snow Eagle territory's soldiers holding the star-breaking crossbows all panicked. The star-breaking crossbows could indeed threaten a meteor knight. However, it usually required over 100 star-breaking crossbows to surround and attack at the same time. Otherwise, with the meteor knight's speed, it would be very difficult for them to aim accurately. Quickly disperse, and attack that white-robed man. The soldiers were very experienced, and one by one, they quickly began to disperse. Kill. The soldiers in dark red armor all rushed out. The white-robed youth in the distance flipped his hand, and a shield appeared in front of him. With a shield, he was hiding far away. He wasn't afraid of the star-breaking crossbows at all. He sneered as he looked at everything. "Brat, you dare to be arrogant with me? You really are courting death." The meteor knight was simply killing ordinary soldiers. In an instant, one of the Snow Eagle territory's soldiers who tried to disperse was killed with a single slash. Even more dark red armored soldiers directly charged towards Dongbua Qing Shi. Qing Shi had never encountered anything like this before, and he was panicking. His magic equipment spells were simply unable to defeat so many people at the same time, especially when there was a meteor knight among them. With a flip of his hand, a magic scroll appeared. It was one of the many magic scrolls that Dongbua Shuang had given him. It was a level 5 magic scroll. Chapter 57. Not good. The gray-robed meteor knight saw the young man throw out the scroll and felt an indescribable fear. The young man stared at him. Obviously, the main target of this powerful spell was this meteor knight. Boom, 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 boom. Huge bolts of green lightning appeared out of nowhere and struck the ground like giant trees. These densely packed thunderbolts. A total of 8 of them twisted and struck the meteor knight's body at the same time. That gray-robed knight was unable to dodge it all. With a boom, his entire body was instantly turned into charcoal. Even a Silver Moon mage had to spend a lot of time chanting the incantation to cast this powerful spell of the 5th rank. The power of this spell was unimaginable. No! The white-robed, triangular-eyed young man who was hiding at the back and holding a shield widened his eyes in fear. A-boom! His entire body was instantly shattered. He was too weak and couldn't withstand it. These huge green thunderbolts struck down like trees. There were a total of 99 thunderbolts. This was the spell of the 5th rank, Lightning Forest. With Qing Shi's guidance ability, he could only barely focus on the meteor knight. As for the other thunderbolt trees, he couldn't precisely guide them. He could only try his best to direct the thunderbolts in other directions so as not to harm the soldiers of the Snow Eagle army. Therefore, one of the thunderbolt trees just so happened to strike the triangular-eyed young man. This was his bad luck. Ah! Many of the soldiers in dark red armor were also affected. Naturally, they died instantly after being affected by the spell of the 5th rank. The soldiers of the Snow Eagle army were already spread out. They were few in number, and Qing Shi controlled the lightning forest to avoid them. Therefore, not a single one of them was struck. Run! Quick! Run! The 20 or so soldiers who were lucky enough to escape from the lightning forest were all terrified. They all rode their horses and quickly ran away. Xiao! 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 The soldiers of the Snow Eagle army immediately chased after them with the star-shattering crossbows. Are you all right? Qing Shi held his girlfriend's hand. Ji Rong was also frightened. Almost. Fortunately, Qing Shi, you have a powerful spell scroll. This is a life-saving item my brother gave me. Qing Shi did not elaborate further because Dongbua Shui Ying had strictly forbidden him from leaking the information. Today, he was forced into a corner and had no other choice. Very soon, the pursuing soldiers of Snow Eagle territory retreated. Young Master Qing Shi, more of their soldiers escaped. Since it's troublesome to load the star-shattering crossbows, 16 of them escaped. Immediately, one of the team leaders hastily reported, "Clean this place up. We're going back to Snowrock Castle," Qing Shi said, feeling somewhat uneasy. In the evening, at the entrance of the castle, Dongbua Shui Ying, Zhong Ling, Tong San, and the others were gathered here after receiving the message from their servants. The drawbridge was slowly lowered, and the castle gates were opening. Outside the city gate was Qing Shi's group. They had also returned with some corpses. "I will return to the Great Master's building first," Ji Rong said in a low voice. "Yes." Qing Shi nodded. The door opened. Qing Shi walked up to Dongbua Shui Ying and bowed his head. "Brother, go back and rest first. We'll talk about it later tonight." Dongbua Shui Ying did not blame him. He could see that his younger brother was somewhat flustered. Qing Shi nodded lightly and immediately entered the castle. "You follow me." Dongbua Shui Ying glanced at the team leader. The team leader immediately followed respectfully. A group of people walked inside the castle. "What happened?" Dongbua Shui Ying asked. Beside him, Zhong Ling and Tong San were also listening. "Sir Lord, today we were escorting the young master and Miss Ji Rong to Water Rights Town as usual." Team leader Wu began to narrate the entire process in detail. When he finished, he sighed. Fortunately, young Master Qing Shi cast a spell. Otherwise, more than 2 of our brothers would have died. The gray-cloaked knight was too fast. Before the Thunder Forest spell struck, he had already killed 2 Snow Eagle soldiers. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. "The compensation for the soldiers who died will be doubled. The castle will continue to provide for their families. The other soldiers will receive 10 silver coins each." "Thank you, Sir Lord," Team leader Wu said gratefully. "Do you recognize the young master in white?" Dongbua Shui Ying asked. "I don't recognize him. From his tone, he doesn't seem to be from Water Rights Town," Team leader Wu said. Dongbua Shui Ying furrowed his brows. This was a bit troublesome. His younger brother had killed a noble. This was not a big matter, but it was not a small matter either. Even from the perspective of the Empire's laws, the other party attacked first. His younger brother was retaliating. If the other party was only an ordinary noble, then it would be fine. However, if they were from a large family, then this matter would not be resolved so easily. It was very likely that there would be trouble. Since Snow Eagle is not from Water Rights Town, then it will be troublesome to investigate. The entire Azure River County is too big. There are so many noble families. Who knows which one he is from? Zhongling was also worried. Do you have their corpses? Donghua Shuiying asked. Yes, we brought them back. However, the young master in white was directly destroyed by the Thunder Forest spell. The Meteor Knight's corpse is still there, but because he was struck by several Thunder Forest spells at the same time, he was burnt to a crisp. We can't even see his face anymore. Team leader Wu said. Are there any survivors? Donghua Shuiying asked. At that time, our brothers were very angry and did not show any mercy. Moreover, almost all of them were shot by the star-breaking crossbows. Those people died almost instantly. The two heavily injured ones were also killed by our angry brothers. Team leader Wu said helplessly. Not a single survivor. Donghua Shuiying's eyebrows showed a trace of killing intent. It will be troublesome to find out the other party's identity. Who cares? Looking at the entire Azure River County, his younger brother was clearly retaliating. In the dark, even if it was the strongest person in Azure River County, see Liang Hong, or even the extremely terrifying Xiang Pengyan, Donghua Shuiying was not afraid of them. Moreover, Donghua Shuiying felt that the background of the noble young master who was killed was not too exaggerated. Investigate, Donghua Shuiying ordered. Investigate from the corpses and see if you can find any clues to find out their identities. I will arrange it now, Zhongling said. He was very meticulous and did things properly. 6 hours is enough. If you can't find anything, we can only ask the Dragon Mountain Manor to investigate, Donghua Shuiying said. The 3rd Division that was stationed in Azure River County was at the edge of the mountain range of desolation. Normally, the city guards in Azure River County. These local troops were all controlled by the Sea Clan. However, the troops stationed around the mountain range of desolation were directly under the Empire. They were the Empire's army and were even more powerful and mysterious. The Sea Clan could only rely on their connections to slightly influence the Empire's army in their own territory. However, they were unable to truly control them. Moreover, the Empire's army had a very strong background. Normally, when a large number of troops entered the mountain range of desolation, there would be transcendence behind them. The 3rd Division in a rather spacious room. Second Master. Young Master is dead. A group of soldiers stood in a sorry state. Sitting there was a one-eyed officer. The one-eyed officer's face was so gloomy that it was almost dripping water. He gritted his teeth and said, Young Master is actually dead? You're all trash, trash. My elder brother will definitely go crazy, definitely. Tell me, who did it and how did he die? Yes. The soldiers quickly explained everything. The one-eyed officer's face twitched as he listened. He was able to become a supervisor in the 3rd Division's logistics department because his elder brother had spent a lot of money and connections. His elder brother was a very crazy person. In the entire Azure River County, everyone said that he was a loyal dog of the Sea Clan. But why did they use the word dog to describe him? It was because his elder brother was very crazy and would often do crazy things. The dead young Master Chui, who was his elder brother's only son. Snow Eagle Leader, Donghua Shuiying's younger brother, Donghua Qing Shi. The one-eyed officer gritted his teeth and said, How dare they kill my Chui clanspeople? Donghua Qing Shi must die. His elder brother must die too. The entire Snow Eagle Leader must be buried with him. These soldiers originally only knew that he was from the Snow Eagle Leader. It was Ji Rong who shouted out that he was Donghua Qing Shi, Donghua Shuiying's younger brother, and threatened him. These ordinary soldiers naturally knew the details of the other party's identity. I have to inform elder brother as soon as possible. The one-eyed officer did not hesitate and immediately stood up. He used the Empire's army's communication system to send the news to Azure River County. As the person in charge of logistics, it was very easy for him to contact his family. About 10 li away from the 3rd Division, on a tall mountain, a cute little wolf that was snow-white in color but had 4 pitch-black hooves, surrounded by a faint aura of darkness, was looking at the camp of the 3rd Regiment in the distance. This little wolf looked like it was only a few months old and was still very young. However, its eyes were filled with sadness and endless hatred. Not long after it was born, its mother was killed by humans. And just a moment ago, its father was also killed and brought to the encampment by the soldiers. It used its innate ability to secretly follow them, but now it did not dare to do so. In the future, it would be the encampment of the human army. "Child," a gentle voice sounded. Beside it, the dark energy gathered and quickly condensed into a black-robed, white-haired old man. His eyes were filled with love. "Do you hate humans?" The little wolf looked at the old man and felt a sense of familiarity. It let out a low growl. "Hate? Of course it hated. Your parents are only ordinary magical beasts. However, you have extraordinary power. However, this power needs to be fully controlled. Only then will you have the chance to take revenge on the humans." The black-robed old man extended his hand, and a strange white-boned scepter appeared. "I will give you this chance." Wong! A stream of blood-red light flew out from the white-boned scepter and enveloped the wolf cub's body. The wolf cub's body began to change under the blood-red light. Gradually, it began to stand upright. Its fur disappeared, its 4 paws turned into 4 limbs, and its head turned into a human's. In just a moment, a 5 or 6-year-old naked human child stood there. "This is your human body. It is a real human body. Humans will not be able to find any flaws." The black-robed old man said, "Only when you truly enter the human world will you be able to take revenge on them. Let's go. Before entering the human world, you will follow me for 10 years. You can call me Father." "Yes, Father." The human child stuttered, but it still spoke clearly. "How extraordinary. You can speak as soon as you transform into a human." The black-robed old man revealed a hint of a smile. "Let's go." A patch of darkness enveloped the old man and the child, and then they disappeared into thin air. Chapter 58. Night, within the Azure River County, in a luxurious mansion that occupied an area of more than a mile. A large number of tyrannical guards were patrolling the surroundings of the mansion. Even within the mansion, there were teams of guards. The security was extremely tight. This was because the owner of this mansion, Chui Jinpeng, was the boss of the entire Azure River County's underworld. All sorts of dark and dirty things were under his control. He was also a loyal dog of the Sea clan. Many people wanted to replace his position, wanted to become the boss of the underworld. Thus, killing and fighting were common occurrences. Who? The breathing of the servants in the mansion was very low, suppressing their breaths. Only when they could not bear it anymore would they slowly take a deep breath. Many of their backs were drenched in sweat. This was because tonight their master had already killed a total of 12 servants. Damn it. In the luxurious main hall, a golden-robed Chui Jinpeng was pacing back and forth. His eyes were filled with endless anger. Everyone else in the main hall had retreated and were waiting outside. Who are? Chui Jinpeng's heart was trembling. He was cruel, he was crazy. He was born in the slums. His mother was a prostitute, and he had no father. His mother did not care about his life or death. Ever since he was young, he was like a wild dog, climbing up step by step. He stepped on the corpses and blood of countless people to climb up. In this underworld, he reached an extremely high position. He was even recognized by the uncrowned emperor of the Azure River County, Si Lianghong. Walking in the dark for so many years, he could be said to have committed all sorts of crimes. However, the one he doted on the most was still his only son. He had prepared everything for his son. If his son wanted a beautiful woman, he, as his father, would personally capture one and give it to his son. Perhaps because he pampered his son too much, or perhaps because he was not good at teaching his son became more and more domineering. Chui Jinpeng could no longer protect his son, so he sent him to the army to temper himself. Who would have thought he actually died? Huer? If you die, how will I live? Chui Jinpeng's face was full of tears. At this moment, this crazy underground tyrant was incomparably pained. I want them to die. I want them to be buried with you. The Snow Eagle Territory's Dongbua family. That damned Dongbua Qingshi and his brother Dongbua Shuiying and all the people in the castle. I want them to be buried with you. Chui Jinping's eyes were filled with endless madness. I want them to be buried with me. Big brother. A person rushed in from outside. It was an orc man with a face and body covered in fur. He had a pair of green eyes, and it was obvious that he was a werewolf. This person was the second in command of their gang, and he was also an extremely powerful Silver Moon Knight. His big brother was called Mad Dog by some enemies, and he was called Wild Wolf. Big bro, just say the word and we'll kill our way over. The werewolf growled malevolently. Are we confident in killing our way over? No. Chui Jinping's face was ferocious. Didn't you hear the news? Hu Er and Zhao Lao Wu were killed by a spell scroll. Even a meteor knight couldn't withstand the spell and died instantly. That must be a rank 5 spell. That Dongbua Shui Ying should be a Silver Moon Knight. He is in his castle, and our gang only has 3 Silver Moon Knights. Do we have the confidence to kill them? That's their lair. Then what should we do? The werewolf was anxious. Bounty. Chui Jinping's face was ice cold. Bloodshed Tavern. Bloodshed Tavern? The werewolf was shocked. Bloodshed Tavern was an incomparably ancient power. Its existence was almost the same as the history of the entire plane of existence. The bounty was set by the Bloodshed Tavern. Moreover, the Bloodshed Tavern would take 80% of the bounty, and the remaining 20% was the real bounty for the assassins. Therefore, the bounty was usually very exaggerated. Then the bounty will be very, very high. The werewolf couldn't help but say, I want them to die. I want the entire Dongbua family to die. As long as they die, I will pay any price. Chui Jinping clenched his teeth. This news was sent by my second brother through the Empire's army. I have to hurry. Once that Dongbua Shui finds out that he is my son, he might make the first move. Yes. The werewolf nodded. They had been in the underground world for a long time, so they understood the principle of making the first move. Pass down my order. Do not leak the news of my son's death. Lock up all the servants who know about it. Chui Jinping said coldly. Wait until the entire Dongbua family is dead. Then let them go. I will set off now to the Bloodshed Tavern. Since he had already made his move, he couldn't give the opponent any chance to retaliate. Night Bloodshed Tavern. This was a rather lively tavern. Many adventurers and other people who lived on the edge of knife hung around here. Even the rich and powerful nobles didn't dare to be impudent here, because the people here were all people who put their lives on the line. Who cared about your identity? If you killed them, these people would immediately escape. Moreover, many of the assassins were roaming around. Even if you killed them, it would be very difficult to find out their identity. Upstairs, there was a side door in the tavern. Only those who could directly issue or accept a mission could go up. Chui Jinping, who was wrapped in a black robe, took out a bloodshed order. One must know that not everyone had the qualifications to issue and accept missions. Either the bloodshed order or the black iron order or bronze order issued by the Dragon Mountain Manor could prove one's strength and identity. On the second floor of the tavern, it was very quiet. Although there were few people here, all of them were either hiding their identities or wearing masks. Obviously, there were very few assassins who were willing to reveal their identity. Like the number 1 expert in the entire Azure River County, Xiang Pangyun, there were very few who would be so ostentatious. After all, Xiang Pangyun's strength was too great. If he was willing to establish a clan, then the entire Azure River County's Sea Clan's position would be shaken. I want a bounty. Chui Jinping entered a room and sat down. Opposite him sat a purple-robed woman. Please speak. The purple-robed woman smiled. I want to kill the Water Rights Town's Snow Eagle Territory's Dongbua clan. I want the entire Dongbua clan's Snow Rock Castle to die, especially the 2 brothers, Dongbua Qingshi and Dongbua Shuang. They must die. Chui Jinping's voice was filled with killing intent. Sure, please wait a moment. We need to calculate the bounty. The purple-robed woman said. Killing? Even if it was killing transcendence, the Bloodshed Tavern would still accept it. As long as you can afford it. Chui Jinping endured and waited. His eyes flashed with killing intent. He really couldn't bear it anymore. He wanted to eradicate the entire Dongbua clan as soon as possible to avenge his son. At this moment, the purple-robed woman looked at the crystal ball in her hand. On the crystal ball, some words appeared. The purple-robed woman nodded and said, "To destroy the Water Rights Town's Dongbua clan, you need 3 million gold coins." 3 million? Chui Jin Peng fiercely stood up. How can it be so high? This is crazy. That Dongbua Shuang is just a silver moon knight. To destroy such a clan, you need 3 million gold coins? Even if your Bloodshed Tavern takes 80% of the bounty, the remaining 20% is still a total of 600,000 gold coins. Do you really need that much to destroy their clan? What kind of assassin would need such a price? The Bloodshed Tavern's pricing was very strict. Even though the Dragon Mountain Manor's information on Dongbua Shuang was confidential, but the Bloodshed Tavern's information on Dongbua Shuang was that he killed a Silver Moon Wolf King and a Shadow Leopard at the age of 15. Even though killing the Shadow Leopard was a secret and was sold in secret, the Bloodshed Tavern and Dragon Mountain Manor were still able to find out about it. The Bloodshed Tavern believed that Dongbua Shuang was a Silver Moon Knight at the age of 15. Furthermore, he had spent more than 500,000 gold coins. To dare to spend so extravagantly, how could one not have a few million gold coins? The Bloodshed Tavern believed that there was a 30% chance that Dongbua Shuang was already a legend ranker. Therefore, they set such a price. If it was 100% confirmed, the price would be doubled. Chui Jin Peng did not dare to believe it. This price was too high. A normal legend ranker's clan would only have 2 to 3 million gold coins. In other words, a normal legend ranker would not be able to afford it even if they sold their entire clan's fortune. Although Chui Jin Peng was the leader of the underground world, he still had the Sea clan above him. After saving for so many years, he barely had 1 million gold coins. Our Bloodshed Tavern's price is non-negotiable. If you cannot afford it, please leave. The purple-robed woman said indifferently. Chapter 59. Chui Jin Peng's face darkened. In front of the Bloodshed Tavern, no one dared to put on airs. Even the emperor who united the world and established the Dragon Mountain Empire as a god still maintained the position of the Bloodshed Tavern and the Temple of the Earth God. But 3 million gold coins, he really could not afford it. Was he not going to take revenge? Even if he died, he would not accept it. I will change the mission. Chui Jin Peng clenched his teeth. Forget about the others. I only want the murderer Dongbua Qingshi dead. Murderer? The purple-robed lady's eyebrows moved as she looked at Chui Jin Peng. But according to the rules of the Bloodshed Tavern, she would not ask or leak the information. Yes, the murderer. Chui Jin Peng also believed in the reputation of the Bloodshed Tavern. He clenched his teeth. I want this damned murderer dead. His name is Dongbua Qingshi. Tell me, how much does it cost to kill such a mage? All right, we need to act quickly. I am worried that Dongbua Shuang will find out the truth, and then there will be many twists and turns. Please believe in the speed of the Bloodshed Tavern. The purple-robed lady smiled. Please wait for a moment. The price of the murderer Dongbua Qingshi will be out soon. The purple-robed lady looked at the crystal ball on the table in front of her. In one day, kill the murderer Dongbua Qingshi, and it will cost 1 million gold coins. The purple-robed lady said. 1 million gold coins? He is just a normal mage, not even an earth-rank mage. Chui Jin Peng stared. As long as we send a powerful assassin to assassinate him, it will be easy. Snorrock Castle must be heavily guarded now. That Dongbua Qingshi will probably stay in the castle for a while. The purple-robed lady said, If you give us 1 year, I am afraid this mission will only cost 100,000 gold coins. But if you want to complete it in 1 day, we still need to send the mission to the killer, and the killer still needs to prepare and rush over. It is too short. I am afraid that he will have to face the obstruction of other people in Snorrock Castle. The purple-robed lady smiled. Chui Jin Peng clenched his teeth. The price of the Bloodshed Tavern could not be negotiated. Either he put down the bounty or get lost. Good. Chui Jin Peng's expression was ferocious. Hurry up and finish this as soon as possible. Pay up. The violet-robed woman looked at him. Although Cui Jinping was extremely distressed, the pain of losing his son had long since driven him crazy. He was willing to do anything. With a flip of his hand, he took out a large stack of gold notes. This stack of gold notes was exactly 1,000,000 gold notes. In the past, he liked to take them out and count them when he had nothing to do. It was extremely refreshing. This was all he had accumulated after struggling in the underground world for so many years. It was a pleasure. The purple-robed woman smiled and said, "We will immediately arrange for suitable assassins." Yes, Cui Jinping nodded, his eyes burning with hatred. He could almost see the death of that Dongbo Qingshi. He trusted the strength of the Bloodshed Tavern. The missions accepted by the Bloodshed Tavern would usually be completed, unless there was an extremely special situation. For example, the mission was to kill a legend ranker, but it was actually a transcendent. The Bloodshed Tavern would temporarily cancel the mission and request a price increase. There will be no refunds. This was the rule of the Bloodshed Tavern. If you couldn't accept it, then don't come. In fact, the Bloodshed Tavern already had a good reputation. In the same night, the Bloodshed Tavern used its own secret information channel to quickly notify the 3 terrifying assassins in the Azure River County. The mission was very urgent, and they had to respond within 2 hours. If they didn't accept it, then the Bloodshed Tavern would immediately notify other powerful assassins in the other counties. This mission was because of the obstruction of Dongbo Ying, and Dongbo Ying might be a legend ranker. Therefore, those who accepted this mission were all legend rankers. Because there was no need to kill Dongbo Ying, the price was 1,000,000 gold coins. If they wanted to kill Dongbo Ying, there was only one assassin in the entire Azure River County who had the qualifications to accept this mission, Xiang Pangyun. He was the strongest existence in the entire Azure River County. He possessed absolute strength and could kill an ordinary legend ranker in a single move. His strength caused people to tremble. Even Si Liang Hong, the old witch who had transformed into a blood demon and lived for hundreds of years, was ranked below Xiang Pangyun in the Dragon Mountain list. The ranking of the Dragon Mountain list was very precise. Very quickly, the assassin was confirmed. He was an extremely powerful assassin, codenamed Wind Demon. In an ordinary-looking but slightly spacious courtyard in the county city, it was brightly lit. 5 figures were gathered together, sitting and chatting. "Big brother, I will bring third brother and the others over." A skinny man wearing a silver-gray soft armor with a strange bronze breastplate on his chest, with half of his face covered by a silver-gray mask, sat at the side and advised, "This kind of small assassination mission is too easy." Although the information said that Dongbo Ying might be a legend ranker, he is only 22 years old. A 22 years old legend ranker? How is that possible? Even if he really is one, he can't do anything to me. The skinny man grinned. "Big brother, you don't have to come out." He was Wind Demon, a terrifying assassin with the combat strength of a legend ranker. "That's right, big brother. Furthermore, the 3 of us will help." A white-haired mage also advised. As a silver moon mage, they were all extremely arrogant. But in front of their big brother, no one dared to be arrogant. Sitting at the head of the table was a sturdy man wearing a loose, dark red robe. His robe was loose, slightly exposing part of his chest. His height was only about 1.9 meters. Although he was considered strong, he was far from being comparable to the God's messenger that Dongbo Ying had met before. That God's messenger had a monstrous body. But in terms of pressure, this sturdy man sitting there gave off an invisible pressure that was much stronger than the God's messenger from before. That God's messenger was like a little kitten, while this sturdy man was like a peerless beast. His baleful aura was incomparably heavy. His baleful aura was forged from killing after killing. Assassins usually hid their identity, but he didn't care about revealing his identity. Because he had accepted the Bloodshed Tavern's missions, nobody could find trouble with him. Wind Demon was also a powerful expert, but in front of his big brother, he didn't even dare to breathe loudly. That old witch Si Liang Hong has always been hiding. I wanted to play with her, but she refused to come out. It's been a while since I've moved my bones and muscles, so I'm itching. This time, I'll go with you to take a look. If the mission is easy, you guys can solve it. If that Dongbua Shuang is really a legend ranker, then I'll have a plaything. This sturdy man laughed casually. Both his eyes were suffused with a blood-red color. This was the result of his cultivation of Do Chi. He was the #1 expert in the entire Azure River County, and also the most terrifying assassin. Xiang Pangyun. All right. Since Big Brother wants to go, then let's go. This mission is actually very easy. I don't think Big Brother will even need to take action. Wind Demon laughed and teased. Since it's decided, we'll set off for Water Rights Town's Snow Eagle territory tomorrow morning. Xiang Pangyun immediately stood up and ordered. Yes. Wind Demon and the other three replied. Chapter 60. The next morning, a 30-meter long black refiner flying ship rose into the sky and flew into the clouds. Then it flew at high speed towards Water Rights Town. On the flying ship, besides the 2 servants who were responsible for driving the ship, there were also 5 people, including Xiang Pangyun. Xiang Pangyun casually sat on the deck of the flying ship and looked at the misty surroundings. He could even see through the clouds to the vast land below. Dongbua Shuang, 22 years old? Xiang Pangyun's mouth curled into a strange smile. If he is a legend ranker, such a young legend ranker would be a rare plaything. Snow Eagle territory. At the peak of Snowrock Mountain, near the cliff outside the castle, a black-haired youth was standing alone. Just by standing there, ordinary soldiers could feel a faint pressure. Normally, Dongbua Shuang would deliberately hide it, but at this moment, he was not in a good mood. Naturally, the aura he emitted was enough to make ordinary people feel oppressed. Duh. Horse hooves galloped as 3 knights galloped over from the mountain road. They're here. Dongbua Shuang looked at them. The 3 knights also saw their lord waiting for them outside the castle. The leading knight jumped down from his horse and handed it over to his companion. Then he galloped towards Dongbua Shuang. My lord, the knight respectfully greeted. Is there news from Manor Lord Xian? Dongbua Shuang asked. Manor Lord Xian said that in the entire Water Rights Town, there was no news of a noble young master suddenly dying. He has already reported the news to the Azure River County's Dragon Mountain Manor. I believe there will be news within 3 days. The knight respectfully replied. Dongbua Shuang frowned. Just as he had expected, Lord Xian was only in charge of Water Rights Town. He had previously sent someone to inform him to investigate as soon as possible. His subordinates were also waiting for news. But in the end, Lord Xian couldn't find anything and had to report it. 3 days. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. I hope there won't be any problems. Humph. No matter who it is, they can forget about hurting Stone. She had been taking care of her younger brother since he was a baby. The brotherly bond had long since seeped into their bones. For the sake of his younger brother, he had entered the Desolation Mountain Range without hesitation. In the past, he didn't quite understand why some people would risk their lives for others. But to take care of his little brother, to see his little brother waddling around and calling him Big Brother behind his back, to see his little brother hugging his thigh and shouting Big Brother when he was young, to see his little brother obediently bowing his head in front of him and listening to his scolding. He also understood that when feelings were deep enough, they could transcend life and death. This was how he treated his younger brother. Sir Lord, this is from Manor Lord Xian. The knight respectfully took out a scroll from his bosom. Dongbua Shuang took the scroll and walked into the castle. The soldiers at the city gate saluted respectfully. Spread my order. Qingshi is not allowed to leave the castle for the next 3 days. Dongbua Shuang ordered. Yes, my lord. All the soldiers respectfully replied. As for whether or not her brother would be released after 3 days, it would depend on whether the trouble this time was solved. Walking in the castle, Dongbua Shuang flipped through the scroll in his hands. Dongbua Shuang frowned. Little brother's girlfriend? Ji Rong? Previously, he had asked the Dragon Mountain Manor to investigate everything about Ji Rong. This time, the identity of the noble young master was not found, but Manor Lord C and had sent him the information about Ji Rong. Oh, Dongbua Shuang read. Ji Rong's father, Ji Wu Hai, worked hard for his family when he was young. After 20 years of hard work, he managed to build a big business for the family. He also married and had a daughter, Ji Rong. When Ji Rong was very young, she lived a very wealthy life. Later on, her uncle who was in charge of the family fell out and kicked Ji Rong's family out. Ji Rong's parents lived miserably in Ji Rong's mother's family, Yin family. In the Yin family, they were looked down upon. Ji Rong's childhood was very pitiful, and her father drowned his sorrows in alcohol. When Ji Rong was 9 years old, her father, Ji Wu Hai, woke up and went out to work hard. In just 1 year, he became rich. After returning to Water Rights Town, their family started to prosper. Yin family and the Ji family that was previously under her uncle's control were quickly destroyed. Dongbua Shuang flipped through the file. The file was very detailed. There were many other things that were described. After a detailed investigation, according to the clues, Ji Wu Hai is suspected to be a believer of some evil god. His wife and daughter might also be a believer of an evil god. The exact evidence still needs to be investigated. Dongbua Shuang's pupil shrank when he saw this. Believer of an evil god? Dragon Mountain Manor had always spared no effort in tracking down evil gods and demons. If they really found out the truth, they would probably take action immediately. Actually, before this, the Dragon Mountain Manor hadn't discovered any problems with Ji Wu Hai. It was only after Shuang asked them to help investigate the matter of his little brother's girlfriend that the Dragon Mountain Manor used the highest level of investigation to investigate Ji Wu Hai's family. With this kind of incomparably detailed investigation, they immediately discovered a few problems. However, it was only a suspicion and there was not enough evidence. Dongbua Shuang carefully looked at the file. There were many other facts recorded at the back, which were the basis for Dragon Mountain Manor's deductions. Even if he isn't a believer of an evil god, this Ji Wu Hai is also a hypocritical and cruel person. Dongbua Shuang was secretly shocked. Ji Wu Hai had suffered at the hands of his big brother and was kicked out of the house. He was also looked down upon by his wife's family. However, his revenge was too ruthless and extremely secretive. Even Dragon Mountain Manor did not have the slightest bit of information. It was only after a detailed investigation that they discovered it. A beggar child was beaten to death by Ji Rong's servant just because he ran into her. Some of the information that he had found out. This proved that not only was Ji Wu Hai a hypocritical and cruel person, even his wife and daughter had a cruel side to them. They just disguised it very well. However, Dragon Mountain Manor wanted to investigate. They even found out about the death of a beggar. No, this kind of woman cannot be together with Qing Shi. Dongbua Shuang immediately made a decision. A scheming woman who was good at disguising herself and was cruel to the bones. Compared to her, his younger brother was too young and innocent. Even if he was played to death, he would still have to thank her. Afternoon, Dongbua Shuang was sitting on the roof of the main building of the castle. His soul had completely fused with the heaven and earth, feeling the mysteries of the world. Dongbua Shuang suddenly opened his eyes and looked in the direction of the castle's gate. Is it Miss Ji? Please come in. The castle guards did not stop her. Ji Rong entered the castle. Ji Rong smiled sweetly as she entered the castle. She had some doubts in her heart. Usually, during the day, Dongbua Qingshi would come to look for her. Why didn't he come to look for her today? Was it because of the conflict with that noble young master? Ji Rong still decided to visit him to let Qingshi feel her concern for him. Ji Rong. In a corridor, a black-clothed Dongbua Shuang was standing there. Ji Rong was startled. She immediately called out, "Big Brother Snow Eagle, do you still remember the little beggar who died 6 years ago?" Dongbua Shuang said coldly. Ji Rong's heart trembled. How'd he know? There were very few people who knew about this. Big Brother Snow Eagle. Ji Rong raised her head and looked at Dongbua Shuang. However, when she saw Dongbua Shuang's cold and sharp eyes, she felt her heart tremble. How strong was the soul force of an expert who was one with the world? Being stared at by him was like an ant being stared at by a dragon. This was an instinctive fear of life. Ji-Rong panicked even more. I don't care about your matters, but you better get out of my little brother's side obediently. Dongbua Shuiying said, I'll give you 3 days to finish everything. I believe that you have the means to end your relationship with my little brother perfectly. You better listen to me obediently. If you dare to go against me, I will do something much more terrifying than you can imagine. Dongbua Shuiying said coldly. Under the pressure of the soul force, Ji-Rong felt terrified. Under Dongbua Shuiying's threat, she was even forced to reveal her past secrets. This caused Ji-Rong to feel terrified. If Qing Shi was an innocent kid, then his big brother was too terrifying. Obviously, if she didn't agree, he would kill her. One must know that this crazy spear demon was younger than Qing Shi by a year. At the age of 15, he destroyed the entire Bent Blade Union with a single spear. Why don't you guys vote for him? Chapter 61. Although she was afraid, Ji-Rong hurriedly explained, Big Brother Snow Eagle, you really misunderstood. That time, it was my family's servant who killed that little beggar behind my back. I only found out about it later. In front of me, you don't need to explain. Dongbua Shuiying said coldly, I told you to get out of my brother's side. This is an order. He only looked at the facts. He didn't listen to other people's lies. Moreover, according to Dragon Mountain Manor's investigation, Jiwu Hai and Ji-Rong's family were very good at disguising. Ji-Rong wanted to say something, but stopped. Her eyes were filled with tears. You only have 3 days. Dongbua Shuiying turned around and walked away. 3 days later, if you can't do it, I will help you. But my method will be more direct. When he was 8 years old, he started to crazily practice his spear every day. During this process, Dongbua Shuiying broke down and cried again and again, but he persevered. Under this kind of tempering, his willpower became incomparably terrifying. How strong would such a person's willpower be? How could a little girl like Ji-Rong be able to sway him with just a few words? Even if it was Kong Yu, Dongbua Shuiying was only angry at her for deceiving his feelings of trust. Moreover, he was very decisive, directly cutting off this feeling of trust. The way Dongbua Shuiying handled things was very straightforward. Ruthless to himself, even more ruthless to his enemies. Yes, Ji-Rong looked at Dongbua Shuiying's back as he left, and could only lower her head. Step by step, she walked towards Qing Shi's residence. She was thinking, what should I do? Dongbua Shuiying loves his brother very much. Should I think of a way to make Qing Shi stand on my side, and make Dongbua Shuiying fear me? Ji-Rong pondered. No, this Dongbua Shuiying is an extremely decisive person. He won't be restrained by this little trick. I'm afraid he can easily hide it from his brother and secretly destroy our Ji family. What should I do? I haven't found out what wealth Dongbua Shuiying's parents left behind. I haven't made any contributions. Ji-Rong thought as she walked, relying on Qing Shi. But in terms of affection, Qing Shi and her brother were probably closer. Even if he stood on her side for a moment, he would still stand on her brother's side. Damn it. Ji-Rong couldn't think of a way to continue staying by Qing Shi's side. Rong thought, Ji-Rong Yuing. Do you dare to disobey? Ji-Rong. The Bent Blade Union had once been feared by all the nobles of Water Rights Town, but Dongbua Shuiying had destroyed it at the age of 15. Compared to the past, Shuiying was much more frightening. Ji Qing Shi E.G. Sect. Ji-Rong Ji-Rong, you actually came to see me. I am very happy. Ti-Ru Ji brother Jie Snow Wong family. Ji Feng of Ji. Qing Shi walked out of the castle's main building and walked side by side with Ji-Rong on a flagstone road inside the castle. It's not my brother's fault. That dead nobleman seemed to have a strong background. At that time, I didn't intend to kill that young noble, but I couldn't precisely control that large-scale spell. Who would have thought that the young noble would be so unlucky as to be struck by a bolt of lightning? It's not your fault. Ji Rong comforted him. At that time, if we hadn't fought back, you would have died, and I would have been in a miserable state. I really don't dare to imagine what would have happened if I had been kidnapped. No one can hurt you. Qingshi firmly held Ji Rong's hand. I promise. Ji Rong just smiled and didn't say anything. What's wrong? Are you in a bad mood? Qingshi could sense his girlfriend's mood and asked, Is it because you killed that noble yesterday? Don't worry, my brother is taking care of everything. He will definitely take care of everything. Not this, Ji Rong said. Then which one is it? Qingshi asked. Tell me. Maybe I can help you. Qingshi, let's break up, Ji Rong suddenly said. Qingshi was stunned. It was as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on his head. He was completely confused. Are you kidding me? Qingshi laughed. This kind of thing is not funny. It's true. Let's break up. Ji Rong looked at Qingshi. Qingshi looked at Ji Rong's eyes. He realized this was not a joke. It was true. Why? Qingshi couldn't understand. Yesterday we were still fine and happy. Although we had a conflict with that noble, what does that have to do with our relationship? Why do you suddenly want to break up? I like someone else, can't I? Ji Rong said. What's the reason? Tell me. Qingshi anxiously stared at Ji Rong. Ji Rong lowered her head. Silence. Tell me. Qingshi was so anxious that he almost went crazy. Your brother is your most important family member, right? Ji Rong said. Qingshi wrinkled his brows. He suddenly had an idea. Your brother investigated some things about me, Ji Rong said. He thinks that I'm not a good girl and that I'm not worthy of you. He already gave me an ultimatum to leave you. Qingshi was stunned. Your brother opposed it. How can you go against his wishes? Ji Rong looked at him. Qingshi clenched his teeth. Whoever I like, my brother can't stop me. Don't lie. Do you think I don't know the relationship between you and your brother? Whoever you like, you have to get your brother's permission and blessing, Ji Rong said. Qingshi panicked. If his brother completely opposed this, what should he do? There must be some misunderstanding. Why would he stop me? You said that he investigated you and thought that you're not a good girl? What happened? Qingshi asked. There must be some misunderstanding. Ji Rong sneered. That happened when I was 10 years old. At that time, I was still very young. I was taking my servants to play in Waterwright's town, but a little beggar ran into us and even dirted my beautiful clothes. At that time, I was very unhappy. My clothes were dirty, so I took my servants home in a depressed mood. After I left, one of my servants beat the little beggar. It was said that the beggar was beaten to death. When I found out, I was also very sad, but there was nothing I could do. But your brother thought that I ordered the servant to do it. He thought that I was a bad person since I was 10 years old. Ji Rong's eyes were filled with tears. What could I do? Moreover, when I was 11 years old, I came to Snowrock Mountain to be apprenticed to master by Yuan Ji. After living in Snowrock Mountain for so many years, don't you know what kind of person I am? But your brother thought that I'm not a good girl. He wanted me to leave you. Ji Rong said in a low voice. When your brother was young, he was the #1 expert in our Waterwright's town. Now, he is even more unfathomable. I don't dare to offend your brother. My Ji family doesn't dare to offend your brother. So, we can only break up? Qingshi anxiously said. How could it be like this? How could my brother do this? If Dongbua Shui-ing opposed, the Ji family would definitely retreat. You stay here. I'll go find my brother. Qingshi said, wait for me. I'll definitely convince my brother. It's useless. Ji Rong shook her head. You stay here and wait for me. Dongbua Qingshi turned around and left. He immediately rushed towards a training field. In the training field, Qingshi directly rushed in. In the training field, a black-clothed Dongbua Shui-ing was practicing his spear arts. Snowflakes fluttered around the spear, making it look ethereal. It didn't have the same violent aura as before. Instead, it seemed to be one with the world. Brother, Qingshi couldn't wait any longer and directly shouted. Shua! The spear disappeared. Dongbua Shui stopped and put away his spear. He turned around and smiled at his brother. Oh, it's Qingshi. What's the matter? In front of his brother, Qing Shi's aura wasn't as strong as before. He hesitated for a while before gritting his teeth and said, "Brother, did you ask Ji Rong to leave me?" Dongwu Shui Ying was surprised. This Ji Rong didn't seem to give up. He gave her 3 days to break up with his brother. He didn't expect her to do it so decisively. "Yes, it's me." Dongwu Shui Ying nodded. Why did you do this?" Qing Shi suppressed his anger. He wanted to hear his brother's explanation. "She's not suitable for you," Dongwu Shui Ying said. "Not suitable? Just because she caused the death of a little beggar when she was young?" Qing Shi said. Dongwu Shui Ying frowned and said, "Because of a simple conflict, she ordered a servant to secretly torture a little beggar to death. How old was she at that time? With such a temperament, how could she be suitable for you?" "Haha, this is too funny. Brother, she was only 10 years old at that time. That was 6 years ago. How can you be so sure that your investigation is true?" Qing Shi said. "The one who did it was the servant. Moreover, you said it yourself. It should be the one who secretly tortured the little beggar to death. How can you be so sure that it was Ji Rong who gave the order, and not the servant acting on his own? Naturally, there are other evidence." Dongwu Shui Ying frowned. With a flip of his hand, a scroll appeared in Dongwu Shui Ying's hand. He flipped through it and took out a piece of paper. This piece of paper was the final conclusion. Dragon Mountain Manor suspected that they were evil god worshippers. This kind of thing could not be revealed to his brother. His brother was currently in a very emotional state. If Ji Rong heard it, then Ji Clan would immediately be on guard. "Look, this is the information that Dragon Mountain Manor investigated Ji Clan. Take a look. What do you think? Is she suitable to be your wife?" Dongwu Shui Ying passed the scroll to his brother. Dongwu Qing Shi suppressed his anger and took the scroll. He carefully flipped through it. Many of the contents were said by Ji Rong. For example, she was kicked out of the clan by her big uncle. For example, she temporarily lived in her mother's clan. She was bullied and looked down upon when she was a child. But there were also many things that he did not know. For example, Ji Rong's father, Ji Wu Hai, was the mastermind behind the destruction of her big uncle's clan and her mother's clan, Yin clan. Even her big uncle's clan and many people from the Yin clan died miserably. All of this pointed to Ji Wu Hai. Dongwu Qing Shi was starting to hate this Ji Wu Hai. "I'm done." Qing Shi closed the scroll. "What do you think?" Dongwu Shui Ying asked. "Not good." Dongwu Qing Shi angrily said. "The information is very detailed. But first of all, how can it be absolutely true? Second, even if it is true, it is Ji Rong's father, Ji Wu Hai, who is guilty. What does this have to do with Ji Rong? When Ji Rong's family temporarily lived in the Yin clan, they were always bullied. At that time, her father drank to drown his sorrows and did not care about the family at all. Later, when he woke up, he went out to do business for a year and returned. After that, he sent his daughter to teach her. Ji Rong and her father spent very little time together. Moreover, Ji Rong is really pitiful. Before she was 10 years old, she lived a very pitiful life. When her father returned with a huge fortune, she lived the life of a noble lady for nearly a year before coming to teach her. Qing Shi angrily said, "She lived a luxurious life for almost a year. The rest of the time, she was either bullied or she lived the life of a mage under teacher's tutelage. She is a very pitiful person. How is she malicious?" Dongwu Shui Ying frowned. According to Dragon Mountain Manor's deduction, wanting to become rich? How could it be so easy? Dragon Mountain Manor believed that when Ji Wu Hai's family was bullied by the Yin clan, their lives were too miserable. That was when they became evil gods' followers. Moreover, it was very likely that they became fanatics and gained the trust of the higher-ups of the evil god division. Furthermore, Ji Wu Hai indeed had the ability to do business. Thus, the evil god's faction began to help and support him. They first let him go out to do business and have a reason to become rich before returning. However, these were all deductions made by Dragon Mountain Manor's intelligence experts based on a few clues. There was not enough evidence. "She has always been with me in the mage's building. I don't know what kind of person she is. Even if her father is an evil person, when the time comes, we can just ignore him. Don't tell me that our Dongbua clan is afraid of a merchant. Qing Shi hastily said, Brother, I don't know her father, but Ji Rong is definitely innocent. She is the first girl I like, and I'm afraid she will be the last. Don't be so cruel, okay? Dongbua Shui Ying's face slightly changed. I'm afraid she will be the last. This Ji Rong has really captivated his brother. Dongbua Shui Ying solemnly said, Qing Shi, the Dragon Mountain Manor's intelligence is very reliable. Those who dare to write it down must have enough confidence. Since she was young, she has always lived in the mage's building. How can I not know what kind of person she is? Qing Shi angrily said, Mages are all very intelligent people. Even if she is a young girl, don't ever look down on her. Dongbua Shuang said. He had just been deceived by Kong Yu. I believe her. Qing Shi said. Enough. Dongbua Shuang coldly said. The two of you must break up. However, I can give you 3 years. In these 3 years, the two of you must separate. I will ask by Yuan Ji to drive Ji Rong back home. In these 3 years, I will see the truth of the Ji clan. If Ji Rong is really a good girl, I will not stop the two of you from being together. However, if her true colors are exposed, you will understand my thoughts. Dongbua Shui also felt that with Dragon Mountain Manor's strength, since they suspected Ji Wu Hai, 3 years was enough to find out the truth. Moreover, he did not want his brother to resist too much. If he completely cut off his brother's hope with his feelings for Ji Rong, he would probably go crazy. 3 years. Qing Shi stared. 3 years? It's too long, and you still want to drive her away? Brother, how can you be so heartless? To treat her like this? Moreover, you said that we must break up? This is between me and Ji Rong. How can we break up just because you say so? We must break up. Dongbua Shui did not expect his brother to be unable to endure 3 years. He could not tolerate his brother being together with a demon god's follower. If she really was a demon god's follower, then he would be pushing his brother into the abyss. Who knew what a demon god's follower would do? At that time, he would regret it. The two of you must break up. Dongbua Shui said coldly. No, Qing Shi was furious. No one can resist. With just a word from me, Bai Yuan Ji will drive Ji Rong out, and Ji clan will have to move out of Water Rights Town. Dongbua Shui said coldly. So even if you don't want to listen, you have to listen. This matter, you cannot be presumptuous. Qing Shi felt the blood rushing to his head. His eyes turned red and his heart beat extremely fast. His big brother indeed had the ability to forcefully destroy the relationship between him and Ji Rong. His strength was not enough to resist. His voice trembled as he looked at Dongbua Shuang. His eyes made Dongbua Shui Ying's heart tremble. His hoarse voice roared, Brother, you are my brother. Since I was young, I have always been proud of you. Although I can't remember my parents, I always thought that I had the best brother in the world. But I was wrong. I really did not expect you to be this kind of person. You really disappoint me. You really, really disappoint me. I never thought that my brother would be this kind of person. You are an egomaniac. You really disappoint me. The most important family member in his life, the family member that he was willing to use his life to protect, was saying these words to him. Dongbua Shuang felt his heart twitching. Is my little brother disappointed in me? I really did not expect you to be this kind of person. My brother is this kind of person. Qing Shi's face was already full of tears. He turned around and dashed out. Zhongling was standing at the door. Apparently, Zhongling heard the quarrel between the two brothers and came over. Qing Shi's face was full of tears as he dashed past Zhongling. Dongbua Shui Ying's heart was aching. His usually steady hands were trembling. The muscles in his palms were twitching uncontrollably. His heart really hurt. Really, since I was young, I've always been proud of you. But I was wrong. I really did not expect you to be this kind of person. My brother is this kind of person. His little brother's voice resounded in his ears. Dongbua Shui Ying's breathing was getting erratic. At this moment, Zhongling walked over and asked, Snow Eagle, help me look after Qing Shi. Remember, you must not allow him to leave the castle for the next 3 days. If he insists on leaving and you guys can't stop him, inform me. I'll go and stop him, Dongbua Shuiying said. Zhongling looked at Dongbua Shuiying's body. In the past, when Dongbua Shuiying stood there, he gave off the impression of a tall mountain or a spear. He was so steady, so terrifying. That was the aura of an expert. But at this moment, Dongbua Shuiying's back seemed to be bent. That unshakable aura was gone, and he seemed to have become weak. Snow Eagle? Zhongling looked at Dongbua Shuiying's face. Dongbua Shuiying's face was slightly pale, and there seemed to be tears in his eyes. I've heard everything just now. Don't be sad. Qing Shi has never experienced any setbacks. When he grows up, he will understand your intentions. Zhongling consoled. You've treated him like a treasure since young. For the sake of finding a good teacher for him, you risked your life to go to the mountain range of desolation. In the future, he will understand how good you are to him. All right, don't be sad. I'm fine. Look after Qing Shi. Dongbua Shuiying turned and left. On the roof of the castle, Dongbua Shuiying sat alone, drinking wine as he looked at the vast sky. His little brother was very sad. This was the first time his little brother was so sad. As for the hurtful words his little brother had said, Dongbua Shuiying was truly heartbroken. But now, he was only worried about his little brother. He will be fine after a while, Dongbua Shuiying said softly. He wiped his eyes, which were slightly wet. I didn't expect that I would still cry after so many years. Haha. He continued to drink. The mountain breeze blew. Dongbua Shuiying didn't know what he was thinking about. He just sat there and drank his wine. Gradually, the sky turned dark and night fell. During dinner, Dongbua Shuiying went for dinner. He thought that he would have the chance to see his little brother. But his little brother didn't come. After dinner, he went to the study room alone and started reading. As night fell, the crescent moon hung high in the sky. Faint moonlight shone on the ground. High up in the sky, a black refiner flying ship had already arrived above Snow Rock Castle. Chapter 62. Inside the alchemy flying ship, one of the servants said respectfully, Master, we have arrived at Snow Rock Castle. Xiang Pengyun, who had been meditating with his eyes closed, opened his eyes. Windfiend and the other three also stood up. Big brother, we will head down now. Windfiend smiled. MHM, Xiang Pengyun nodded slightly. Windfiend and the other three quickly came out of the cabin and onto the deck. Among them, the white-haired sorcerer held a purple magic staff and started casting some spells. Rays of light flew out from the magic staff and landed on Windfiend and the other two. Several buff spells were cast consecutively. Windfiend and the other three's auras were completely isolated. An invisible barrier formed around the three of them. Even the light rays around them were distorted. Back then, Dongbua Shuiying and the others had infiltrated the Liu clan's castle. However, they were discovered the moment they arrived. Comparatively speaking, they were clearly not as proficient as these assassins. This was their profession. Let's go. Windfiend spoke. So. The four of them leaped off the flying ship at the same time and started descending. As they descended, they were surrounded by the power of spells, causing their speed of descent to be slower. After a while, they quietly descended a few hundred meters and landed on an empty space beside the main building of the castle. This was because these assassins knew very well that the main building of a castle was usually heavily guarded. There might even be some spells and formations. If they descended directly, they would be easily discovered. As for the empty space, one could tell that there were no formations on the surface. Third brother will stay here. The three of us will sneak in. Windfiend instructed, be careful. The moment you encounter a warning formation, the two of you retreat immediately. I will complete the mission. Don't worry, second brother. The two Silver Moon Knights nodded. They were very familiar with this. So. The three of them rapidly approached the main building. Their bodies were surrounded by spells. Ordinary people would not be able to see them clearly even if they were beside them in the dark. During the day, they would only be able to see blurry figures. Within the study room, Dongbua Shuiying was currently reading a book. However, his heart was not calm. He was just casually flipping through the pages. Dongbua Shui Ying suddenly frowned. An expert who was one with the world. Even during normal times, his spirit force would naturally resonate with the outside world. Within a certain range, the slightest movement would be discovered. If one's spirit force intentionally merged into the world, they would be able to sense everything within a few miles. Even a metal refinement flying boat in the sky would be discovered. It was just that most people would not be able to unify their mental strength with the heavens and the earth at all times. This was because completely becoming one with the heavens and earth required the concentration of one's spirit power. Someone actually came. That noble's revenge came so quickly. A cold glint flashed across Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes. Ever since his parents were taken away when he was young, no one had dared to invade the Snow Rock Castle. That mysterious noble young master had just died, and now someone was invading. Shui Ying did not believe that this had nothing to do with that noble young master's clan. Creak. Dongbua Shui Ying opened the door and walked out. Wind Devil quietly walked to the corridor of the main building of the castle. Suddenly, boom, a terrifying force enveloped hundreds of meters around the castle. Whether it was the Silver Moon wizard waiting in the open space, the other two knights, or the Wind Demon, they all felt a chill run down their spines. All of them were completely suppressed by the power of the heavens and the earth. This feeling of being completely suppressed caused them to reveal a look of fear. The moment the Silver Moon wizard was suppressed, they would not be able to use the power of the heavens and the earth. They would not even be able to cast a powerful spell. What the hell? That Dongbua Shui Ying is only 22 years old, and he is already a legend ranker with the power of the heavens and the earth. The other two Silver Moon Knights were also frightened to the point that their legs went soft. Their strength was far weaker than a legend ranker, and they were also suppressed by the power of the heavens and the earth. As long as Dongbua Shui Ying wanted to deal with them, the two of them would die in the blink of an eye. The two of them panicked, and their legs went soft. Run. Let's hope that he does not come to deal with us. Instead, he goes to deal with Wind Devil. Wind Devil's strength is strong enough to hold him off. Furthermore, Big Brother will be here soon. Once Big Brother arrives, we will be able to preserve our lives. The two Silver Moon Knights quickly retreated. The three of them were panicking. Although Wind Devil was not afraid, he was still shocked. One with the world? How many years has it been since a 22-year-old legend ranker appeared in the entire Tranquil Sun Province? Such a monstrous thing actually happened. Wind Devil was completely stunned by the power of the heavens and the earth. To be able to become a legend ranker at the age of 22, let alone in the Tranquil Sun Province, even in the entire Dragon Mountain Empire, it was a monstrous thing. In fact, the Bloodshed Tavern only had their suspicions. The Dragon Mountain Manor had more information, but they did not witness the battle. They also suspected that the traces of battle in the Liu family's castle might be due to some other reason. Therefore, they only believed that the possibility of Dongbua Shui Ying being a legend ranker was 50%. Even if Dongbua Shui Ying really had the power of a legend ranker, they were more inclined to believe that Dongbua Shui Ying had obtained a powerful refiner armor. They did not dare to believe that a 22-year-old legend ranker would appear in a remote place like Water Rights Town. Relying on one's own strength to reach legend ranker was too difficult. One with the world? Very difficult. Primordial bloodline awakening? It was also extremely difficult. Even if it was the Dragon Mountain Empire's royal family, even if it was the most powerful transcendent, it was still too difficult to cultivate a 22-year-old legend ranker. I have been cultivating for so many years, but I still haven't reached one with the world. Only after my body has been transformed and Big Brother has given me an alchemy treasure did I have the power of a legend ranker. Wind Devil was shocked, but this Dongbua Shui Ying can actually rely on his own strength to reach one with the world. There were a lot of people who relied on external forces to barely reach legend ranker. For example, Dongbua Shui Ying's enemy, Mo Yang Chun Bai, and Wind Devil, they were all like this. However, Wind Devil was very ruthless toward himself. His body had been transformed by a master alchemist, and he had an alchemy treasure. In addition, he had been tempered between life and death for a long time. His strength was much stronger than Mo Yang Chun Bai. There was not much difference between him and a real legend ranker. Under the pressure of the world, the air distorted. Under the illumination of the fire crystal lamp, a black, clothed youth appeared in the corridor. Wind Devil looked at the person in front of him. Under the distortion of the air, the other person's face was somewhat blurred. However, looking at the other person's age and rough appearance, Wind Devil knew that the other person was Dongbua Shuang. Who asked you to come? The black-clothed youth walked towards him. Run. Wind Devil did not want to make a move, because he did not have the ability to kill a real legend ranker. Right now, as long as he could buy some time, his big brother would arrive. Seeing that the other party wanted to escape, the black-clothed youth faintly snorted. If you don't want to speak, then die. Shua. A long spear appeared in the hands of the black-robed young man out of thin air. The long spear turned into a strange and astonishing arc. Under such an arc, even the shaft of the long spear appeared to curve. It could be seen that the power of the long spear was great and vigorous. So fast, Wind Devil was so scared that he quivered. He turned his head and waved the scimitar in his hands to block the attack. He did not have the confidence to block the attack, so he relied purely on his instinct to block the attack. Clang! The long spear's tip contained a frightening strength and rotational force. Wind Devil's hands were somewhat numb. He could not help but be forced to retreat. This caused Wind Devil to reveal a frightened expression. Yes, although he had only achieved the state of one with the world for a short period of time, but during this time, he had been absorbing the energy of the world to strengthen himself. His Dochi had been promoted to Silver Moon rank, and his physical strength and speed had increased by 50%. He also had the one with the world to suppress his opponent, and had also cultivated the second layer of the profound eye spear technique Blood Rain. Therefore, under normal circumstances, his battle strength was comparable to the last time when he fought against Sir Divine Envoy, when his power bloodline was activated. With this kind of strength, even the extraordinary Divine Envoy was killed after using a forbidden technique. How could this Wind Devil withstand it? Too strong. How could it be? Wind Devil's scimitar hurriedly blocked the second spear. The first spear, he had blocked it and was forced to retreat. The second spear, he was lucky enough to block it, but his arms were completely numb. The movement of his hands holding the scimitar was also distorted. The third spear, puff. As fast as lightning, the long spear passed through the scimitar that panicked but was obviously slow to block. It instantly pierced through Wind Devil's throat and then retracted. It was like a light kiss. Wind Devil clutched his throat as if he wanted to stop the blood from flowing out. He wanted to preserve his life. He really did not expect that even if he met a legend ranker, he would still be killed so quickly. Dongbua Shuang looked at the masked assassin in front of him who was clutching his throat and slowly falling to the ground. To be able to barely block 2 spear attacks, it seems that he has the strength of a legend ranker. There are still 3 ants left. Dongbua Shuang was enveloped by the world energy. The other 3 assassins, every move was under his observation. He could kill them at any time. Chapter 63. Speak. Who sent you here? Shui Ying's voice resounded in the ears of the 3 assassins. We don't know. We accepted the Bloodshed Tavern's mission. We don't know who it is. The 3 assassins were terrified. Dongbua Shuang frowned. Bloodshed Tavern's mission? That noble young master's family actually issued a bounty for him? Since that was the case, it was impossible to find the person who issued the mission. Pooh! 3 rays of cold light flashed. Under the cover of the power of heaven and earth, the 3 assassins widened their eyes as a small hole appeared between their eyebrows. Since you've already killed your way to my house, you still want to escape? Dongbua Shuang glanced at the 3 corpses. He had thrown out 3 shuttle-shaped darts. When he was in the county capital, he had bought a batch of high-quality short spears. Similarly, he had also bought a bunch of suitable darts. After all, it was not worth it to use short spears to deal with weaker opponents. Dong Wuxueying had bought a huge box of these darts and placed them in his storage ring. On the alchemy flying ship in the night sky, Zhang Pengyun was looking down coldly. Buzz! Suddenly, the power of heaven and earth surged from the castle below. With Xiang Pengyun's amazing eyesight, he could clearly see a black-robed young man walking towards Wind Demon, following which a long spear appeared in his hand, and he instantly attacked. 3 consecutive spears as fast as lightning. Wind Demon was already dead. Xiang Pengyun's pupils constricted, following which he grinned and his blood-red eyes emitted an unprecedented radiance. One with the heavens? 22 years old one with the heavens? And he killed Wind Demon in a single move? Good, this is really good. I didn't expect to come across such a rare plaything when I came out to try my luck. 22 years old one with the heavens, and his strength is so strong. He has sufficient time to slowly find his own path. I'm afraid he has an 80 to 90% chance of becoming a transcendent. If Dragon Mountain Manor confirmed Dongbua Shui-Ying's strength, I'm afraid those transcendent organizations would immediately come to invite such a monster. Or has he joined some extraordinary organization? Xiang Pengyun thought to himself. He had lived for a very long time and naturally came into contact with many secrets. This world had transcendence. The armies of mortals were meaningless to transcendence. The transcendents were the true rulers of this world. And the 6 great transcendent organizations were formed by transcendence. The Empire? It had long decayed. The 6 major transcendent organizations were the true ruling powers of this world in the dark, and they had existed for a very long time. The Terrene Shrine and the Bloodshed Tavern were 2 of the more special organizations out of the 6 great extraordinary humans. It's a pity that you won't have the chance to become a transcendent in the future. Xiang Pengyun's eyes were filled with excitement. Wait for me here, Xiang Pengyun ordered. Yes, master, the servants controlling the flying boat said respectfully. Who? Xiang Pengyun jumped down. Although it took a long time to describe, Xiang Pengyun had only thought for a short while from the moment he saw Wind Demon die. On the empty ground within the castle, Dongbua Shui-Ying had just killed Wind Demon. He looked at Wind Demon's chest suspiciously. There was a strange bronze heart-protecting mirror there. The patterns on the heart-protecting mirror made him feel that it was extraordinary. This bronze heart-protecting mirror seems to be the best alchemy treasure I've ever seen. Dongbua Shui-Ying's expression changed as he raised his head to look at the sky. High up in the sky, a muscular man dressed in dark red robes with a face that looked like it was carved by a knife descended at high speed. His robes fluttered in the wind as a visible blood-red shockwave spread outwards with him as the center. The man was like a devil descending from the heavens. Dongbua Shui-Ying immediately recognized him. An expert of this level had long been drawn into a picture. Xiang Pengyun? With a single thought, Dongbua Shui-Ying activated the heaven and earth energy he controlled and clashed against the blood-red shockwave 100 meters up in the sky. Pung, the 2 surging forces collided head-on. Because Dongbua Shui-Ying's spirit force was one with heaven and earth, he could instantly sense the boundless killing intent contained within the blood-red shockwave at the instant of collision. Kill! 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 Countless shouts of killing rang out in his heart. Dongbua Shui-Ying was slightly shocked by his opponent's methods. However, he was able to easily withstand the impact of the killing intent. How resolute was Dongbua Shui-Ying's will? Furthermore, after becoming one with heaven and earth, his spirit force had been nourished and had long become stronger. There was no way he could disregard this killing intent. However, ordinary Silver Moon experts or those weaker would be so frightened that their legs would turn soft and they would collapse to the ground when faced with such a materialized killing intent. He actually fused his killing intent with heaven and earth energy. Not only does his blood-red shockwave contain the impact of heaven and earth energy, it also contains the impact of his killing intent. Dongbua Shui-Ying was shocked in his heart. Everyone says that this Xiang Pangyun is a madman and an extremely terrifying assassin. Just the intensity of his killing intent is already unfathomable. Snow Eagle, what's wrong? What happened? Many people in the castle were alarmed. After all, when Dongbua Shueting utilized heaven and earth energy, even the air would distort. Although this formless energy didn't harm his own people, it still alarmed many people. Also, when he fought against the Wind Devil, every time the spear and the curved blade clashed, the sound of collision would be extremely loud. Even the people in the castle were alarmed. There was no need to mention. The scene of Dongbua Shui Ying's heaven and earth energy clashing with the blood-red shockwave was even more shocking. When the two forces of heaven and earth energy clashed, the sound produced was like thunder. Uncle Zong, Dongbua Shuang called out. As a meteor knight, Zhong Ling was the fastest to arrive by Dongbua Shui Ying's side. The bronze heart-protecting mirror on this fellow's corpse is a very unique refiner treasure. Dongbua Shui Ying said, Uncle Zong, you could take a look. It should be useful to you. The more powerful a legend ranker was, the less useful those refiner treasures would be. Zhong Ling nodded his head. In the blink of an eye, he removed the bronze heart-protecting mirror. He continued to retrieve other storage treasures, weapons, armors, etc. But suddenly, bang! Xiang Pangyun, who had descended from a height of a few hundred meters, directly landed on the castle walls. Standing on the battlements of the castle walls, the blood-red shockwave surged outwards. Some of the soldiers on the castle walls were instantly pressured to the ground. Some of them even let out cries of fear. Some of the weaker soldiers were pressured to the point that their faces turned pale and blood started to seep out of their mouths, noses, and ears. In fact, the heaven and earth energy only had a suppressive effect on silver moon nights and meteor nights. But to some of the ordinary soldiers, it was enough to threaten their lives. In front of me, Xiang Pangyun, you still dare to resist? Xiang Pangyun looked down at Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang, you really have guts. Boom, boom, boom. The heaven and earth energy that Dongbua Shuang controlled was like a huge, invisible cover, covering the entire area. It continuously clashed with the blood-red shockwave surrounding Xiang Pangyun. Xiang Pangyun, Zhong Ling's expression changed. This terrifying demon? The legend ranker who had dominated the entire Azure River County for almost 100 years? Uncle Zong, help me take care of Qing Shi. Dongbua Shui immediately said. Under the control of the heaven and earth energy, he naturally saw Qing Shi walking out of the room with a puzzled expression. All right, Zhong Ling did not care about searching the corpse anymore. This matter could be dealt with slowly. He immediately leapt up and flew to the third floor of the castle's main building, arriving beside Dongbua Qing Shi. What happened? What's going on? Qing Shi was a little confused. Previously, he was hugging his quilt on the bed and had fallen asleep. His brother had never treated him like this for so many years. He hugged his quilt and cried, crying and crying, until he gradually fell asleep. The surging heaven and earth energy, the huge sounds of weapons clashing, and the collision of the heaven and earth energy of two legend rankers, as well as the miserable screams coming from outside, woke Dongbua Qing Shi up and immediately came out. The moment he came out, he saw his brother, Dongbua Shuang, standing downstairs. Beside him was a corpse, and further away, there were 3 more corpses. At the same time, the surrounding scene was very strange. The air was distorted. The vast area on her brother's side was like an invisible barrier, while the crimson-robed, demonic, godlike man standing on the battlement of the city wall was emitting a blood-red wave of energy. The invisible barrier and the blood-red wave of energy collided. Just by looking at the blood-red chi wave with the naked eye, one could not help but feel fear. Qing Shi had not experienced many setbacks, so his face could not help but turn pale. Uncle Zong, what's going on? Qing Shi panicked. Zhong Ling came to his side. It's Xiang Pangyun. Zhong Ling said solemnly. He's the most terrifying assassin in the entire Azure River County. He's even more terrifying than the Sea Clan's ancestor, Si Lianghong. Even some legend rankers can't even last a single move against him. What? Qing Shi was stunned. How powerful was a legend ranker? In front of this Xiang Pangyun, he would be killed in a single move? One must know that the reason why the Sea clan could cover the sky in Azure River County was because of the Sea clan's ancestor. But Xiang Pangyun was even stronger than the Sea clan's ancestor? Dongbua Shuang, the reason why I'm here is because of the Bloodshed Tavern's mission. It's to take the life of your brother, Dongbua Qing Shi. Xiang Pangyun, who was standing on top of the city wall, had a strange expression on his face. His voice resounded through the air. I have no interest in killing you. Just obediently step aside. After I kill your brother, I'll turn around and leave. After all, the Bloodshed Tavern did not give me any bounty for killing you. Xiang Pangyun was doing this on purpose. This mission was actually accepted by Wind Demon. Even if Xiang Pangyun killed him, he would not be able to claim the bounty. He said this to tease Dongbua Shuang, toying with Dongbua Shui Ying's state of mind. If this could shake Dongbua Shui Ying's determination, that would be even better. As a madman who publicly exposed his identity as a killer, the reason why he killed people was not for the bounty. Killing people was a form of enjoyment for a madman like him. Kill me? Bloodshed Tavern's mission? Qing Shi was stunned. This terrifying scene was actually to kill him? Kill my brother? Dongbua Shuang looked at Xiang Pangyun, who was standing on top of the city wall, and said coldly, Unless I, Dongbua Shuang, am dead, no one can hurt my brother. Not even you, Xiang Pangyun. Brother. Qing Shi, who was standing by the railing of the main building, felt his heart ache. He looked at his brother's blurry figure under the distortion of the air. It was as if he could see the tall figure that had always been in front of him since he was young, the figure that was like a mountain that would always protect him. For your brother, you're willing to sacrifice your life. How touching. Since that's the case, then you can die. Xiang Pangyun's face suddenly turned sinister, and he shouted. Whoosh! A blood-red figure suddenly rushed out from the battlements of the city wall, and a piercingly cold saber light streaked across the sky. Just by looking at the snow-white saber light that streaked across the sky for dozens of meters, everyone else trembled in fear. Brother. Qing Shi, who was standing beside Zhongling, was so nervous that he trembled. Chapter 64. Xiang Pangyun's expression turned malevolent as the snow-white blade light sliced through the air and arrived in front of him. Is that all you got? Shui Ying's spear suddenly pierced upwards. Who? The spearhead was like a rising dragon as it collided head-on with the snow-white saber light that was furiously hacking downwards. Pung! The collision resulted in an explosion that could be seen by the naked eye, spreading in all directions. However, under the protection of the world energy, it gradually weakened and disappeared. With this collision, both of Dongbua Shui Ying's legs sunk down to his knees. However, with just a slight movement of his legs, the soil and gravel were all sent flying. As for Xiang Pangyun, he borrowed the force of the collision to land on the ground. You have some strength. Xiang Pangyun grinned. However, a blood-red dart suddenly appeared in his left hand. Xiao! The dart streaked across the sky and flew towards Dongbua Qing Shi, who was nervously watching from the top of the castle. Chi. The dart was originally as fast as lightning, but Dongbua Shuang was constantly maintaining the world energy to protect his little brother, Uncle Zong, and Uncle Tong. Although there was a difference in the strength of legend rankers, Dongbua Shuang and Xiang Pangyun could use the same world energy, and neither could suppress the other. If one was determined to protect an area, the other party would not be able to break through. Chi. The dart that left his hand was constantly obstructed by the world energy, causing its speed to decrease. Furthermore, the world energy was constantly pushing the dart from the side, causing the dart to change its trajectory. Dongbua Shuang could clearly feel the trajectory of the dart bending. Pung! The dart hit the wall of the castle far away. It was at least 3 meters away from Dongbua Qing Shi and Zhongling. Everyone says that the #1 expert of our Azure River County is you, Xiang Pangyun. Who would have thought that you would use my brother to influence me in a duel? Dongbua Shuang sneered. I really look down on you. TSK, TSK, TSK. You are still so arrogant. I will let you die convinced. Xiang Pang Yun attacked again at lightning speed. The saber was extremely fast. However, Dongbua Shuiying's marksmanship was also extremely fast. Clang, clang, clang. The two of them instantly turned into phantoms and exchanged blows. Their footwork was unpredictable, and Xiang Pang Yun kept attacking and attacking. He kept moving forward, wanting to get closer to Dongbua Shuiying. Retreat, retreat, retreat. Dongbua Shuiying kept retreating. As the saying goes, an inch longer is an inch stronger. When using a long weapon like a spear, it was necessary to maintain a sufficient distance from the opponent as much as possible. Only then could the advantage of the spear be fully displayed. If they were to fight in close combat, it was obvious that Xiang Pang Yun, who used a saber, would have a huge advantage. Xiang Pang Yun kept advancing, wanting to get closer to Dongbua Shuiying. Dongbua Shuiying kept retreating to maintain the distance between them. So. How fast were the two of them? One of them kept advancing, while the other kept retreating. After a few simple exchanges, they even exchanged blows on top of the castle walls. After which, they left the castle walls and went outside the castle walls. Quick, quick, quick. Let's follow them and watch. Qingshi was somewhat anxious. We can't go. Tong San, who was by the side, hurriedly said. Qingshi, we will stay here and watch. Zhongling said. The terrain here is high enough. We can barely see the battle from afar. Furthermore, if something goes wrong, we can enter the main building of the castle and escape through the tunnel. If we get too close to the battlefield, at the level of your brother and Xiang Pangyan, I'm afraid we might accidentally injure and kill some Silver Moon rankers. Qingshi clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles turned white. At this moment, he suddenly hated himself. Why didn't he train hard in the past? Now, he couldn't help it all. Previously, his brother told him to train hard so that he could save his parents in the future. Although he gritted his teeth and worked hard for a short period of time, he soon lost his willpower. To be honest, parents represented a very special meaning. He also knew that parents were very important, but he really didn't have any impression of them. He simply couldn't persevere any longer and soon became lazy. But at this moment, he felt an unprecedented nervousness because this time, the one in danger was his brother. My brother is very powerful. He can definitely win. He definitely can. Qingshi stood in front of the railing and looked at the two figures moving at high speed outside the castle walls. He couldn't see the two figures clearly. He only felt that they were a series of afterimages. Bang, 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 bang. Sometimes it was a low clashing sound, sometimes it was a clear clashing sound. Both sides were using different strength, defending, or attacking. Even the sound of weapons clashing was different. At the same time, both sides controlled the heaven and earth energy. One was a formless air shield, while the other was a blood-red air wave. Dongbua Shuiying retreated a few steps. His eyes were solemn. We're already out of your castle? The corners of Xiang Pang Yun's mouth curled into a smile as he looked at Snowrock Castle a mile away. TSK, TSK, TSK. You're really strong. You kept retreating while fighting with me. You actually lured me out of the castle. Are you afraid that our fight will hurt your subordinates? Your friends and relatives? Your subordinates are dead. Aren't you sad or angry at all? Dongbua Shuiying suddenly asked. He didn't feel any pain or anger from Xiang Pang Yun regarding the death of Wind Demon and the other three assassins. Angry? What's there to be angry about? If you choose to be an assassin, you should be prepared to die. Furthermore, what does their death have to do with me? Xiang Pang Yun said casually. If I didn't follow them, wouldn't the four of them still be dead? If I followed them, I could even avenge them. The four of them should be grateful to me, their big brother. Ha! Avenge? You're quite confident. Dongbua Shuiying sneered. From a short exchange, just now, Dongbua Shuiying judged that Xiang Pang Yun only had a slight advantage in terms of strength. Even if this Xiang Pang Yun had some powerful techniques, He hadn't even activated his power bloodline yet. According to the description of some experts on the Dragon Mountain leaderboard, Donghua Shuiying felt that he could barely make it into the leaderboard before attaining one with the heaven. It shouldn't be a problem for him to be ranked in the top 2 or 3,000. Now that he had attained one with the heaven, his body was absorbing the heaven and earth energy every day. His overall strength had increased. He had also mastered the Blood Rain Spear art. He should be able to enter the top 1,000. The gap between him and Si Lianghong and Xiang Pengyun was very small. Winning might be very difficult, but if the opponent wanted to kill him, the chances of that happening should be low. Of course, these were all deductions from external information. To determine life and death, it would still depend on the actual battle. The confidence you show in front of me is not ordinary. Xiang Pengyun sneered. That's right, being able to attain one with the heaven at 22 years old. Furthermore, you're a spear grandmaster with power as one. TSK, TSK, TSK. You've attained power as one so quickly. Are you an innate one with the heaven or an innate power as one? What do you think? Donghua Shuiying asked. The realm of a grandmaster with power as one was very difficult to achieve. Just like that Lord God envoy, he had already attained one with the heaven long ago. However, he had never been able to attain power as one. One with the heaven was the tempering of one's spirit. Power as one was the pinnacle of one's skills. There were many legend rankers who had first grasped the realm of one with the heaven. Only after their spirit energy had grown stronger would they be able to sense their body more clearly. Only then would they be able to attain power as one. However, Donghua Shuiying was different. Donghua Shuiying did not walk on the path of tempering himself between life and death. What he walked on was purely an extremely solid foundation. He constantly perfected himself. With a terrifying solid foundation and astonishing perception, it allowed him to forcefully reach the realm of power as one. At the very least, his spear techniques had already reached a pinnacle. Although one's techniques were superb, it did not mean that one's combat experience was plentiful. Thus, when Donghua Shuiying entered the mountain range of desolation for the first time, his hands and feet were bound at the start. However, very quickly, he no longer panicked. Nearing the Tao, the pinnacle of one's techniques. Beyond that would be an even higher level. At that level, one's spear techniques, blade techniques, etc. would be even more extraordinary. Normally, only transcendence would be able to reach that level. If you can attain power as one before attaining power as one, then you will be even more monstrous. Xiang Pengyun's blood-red eyes flashed coldly. However, no matter how monstrous you are, it will be useless. Because tonight, you will die without a doubt. Who? As soon as he finished speaking, Xiang Pengyun brought along a blood-red wave of qi and charged towards him once again. Donghua Shuiying also instantly shot out his spear. Like a venomous snake coming out of its hole, he shot out 3 consecutive spear strikes towards Xiang Pengyun's face, heart, and throat. At this time, at the Great Mages building located at the peak of Snorrock Mountain, a large group of people, including Great Mage by Yuan Ji and Kong Yu, had all come out. Actually, the commotion within Snorrock Castle had already caused the people in the Great Mages building to be surprised. Following the battle between Donghua Shuiying and Xiang Pengyun, the commotion became even bigger. Everyone in the Great Mages building turned to look at them. Chapter 65. Yu walked out of the Great Mages building with a heart full of doubts. There was already a large group of people outside the Great Mages building. 2 legend rankers are fighting. 2 legend rankers. The group of young mages were very excited. Kong Yu also looked into the distance. Under the illumination of the moonlight, there was a huge blood-colored qi wave colliding with a distorted colorless qi cover. The scene in the distance was somewhat distorted. The collision of the world energy had a range of 200 to 300 meters. Boom, boom, boom. It was as if thunder was roaring. This kind of power made Yu's heart tremble. As a mage, she was very knowledgeable. With one look, she could tell that this was a legend ranker using the world energy. Legend Ranker? Yu stared at the two fighting figures in disbelief. They are actually two legend rankers. Such existences should be standing at the top of the Azure River County. Why are they fighting at the top of Snorrock Mountain? Could it be that they're just passing by? Although the two terrifying rankers were extremely fast, they would stop abruptly during their fight. Some were even pushed back by the shockwave. Thus, Yi was able to clearly see their appearances. She did not know who Xiang Pengyan was. But on the other side, there was a black-clothed youth holding a silver-gray spear. Snowflakes were floating around him. She was too familiar with this person. Dongbua Shuang. Yu's eyes widened. He is a legend ranker? How is this possible? He is only 22 years old. When she was young, her father, Kong Hai, a shrewd businessman, had asked her to find a way to marry Dongbua Shuang. In fact, Yu had always been sullen. Because her father did not value her, he thought that a girl would eventually have to get married. In fact, she was even unwilling to hire a good mage as a teacher. It was because she wanted to get closer to Dongbua Shuang that she was sent to Bai Yuan Ji as a teacher. After becoming a mage, Yu was very hardworking. At the same time, her horizons were gradually broadened. She knew more and knew that the world was very big. What was Dongbua Shuang, who was a tyrant in a remote water rights town, compared to the whole world? But before a good opportunity appeared, she had to endure. After all, Dongbua Shuang was a good spare tire. Finally, the proud son of heaven of the Sea Clan, Si Chun, had arrived. The Sea Clan was a clan that could cover the sky with one hand in Azure River County. Even in the entire Tranquil Sun province, they had quite a high status. If he could enter such a family, then he might have the opportunity to reach a higher position in the future. In her opinion, Dongbua Shuang wasn't even worth mentioning in front of the Sea family. Si Chun was a stairway for her to reach higher heights. When Dongbua Shuang discovered her true colors, she didn't care at all. He was just a martial arts fanatic from a small place. What was the big deal? Kong Yu looked at the two figures who were fighting like gods and demons. Some of the rocks in the distance collapsed, and some of the rocks rolled down the mountain. One of the figures was someone that she was extremely familiar with in the past. All of you, hurry up and hide. Great Mage by Yuan Ji's beard trembled as he roared. Quick, that saber wielder is Xiang Pengyan. It was Xiang Pengyan. Why are you still standing here like idiots? Do you want to die? Once the shock wave reaches you, you will lose your life in an instant. Xiang Pengyan? The #1 expert of the Azure River County, Xiang Pengyan. The Xiang Pengyan who is even more powerful than the Sea Clan's ancestor? These mage disciples all cried out in surprise. Their own teacher had already commented on some of the powerful figures of the Azure River County during his lectures. Among them, he emphasized on Xiang Pengyan and Si Liang Hong. These two were the two skies of the entire Azure River County. Any one of them could easily kill a legend ranker. Their strength was unimaginable. Hurry up and get inside, Bai Yuanji roared. The other disciples all walked towards the great mage's building. Bai Yuanji waved his hand. Rumble, a huge black statue beside the great mage's building suddenly moved. This was a refiner organism that looked like a centipede. The edges of its black, flat, and wriggling body were covered with a flexible membrane. Brother Si Chun, it's very dangerous now. The great mage's building isn't absolutely safe. It's better for us to sit on this black moon, centipede, and fly to the sky first. In the sky, we won't have to worry about being affected. Bai Yuanji said. Thank you, Brother Bai. Si Chun was quite handsome. At the same time, he said, if it's possible, bring Yu along. In. Bai Yuanji glanced at Yu and Ji Rong, then ordered, Yu, Ji Rong, the two of you come as well. We'll go to Snorrock Castle later, and bring Qing Shi along as well. Bai Yuanji had his own considerations. When he saw the earth-shattering battle between Xiang Pengyan and Dongbua Shuang, he was similarly stunned. Heavens, Dongbua Shuang was actually able to fight against the infamous Xiang Pengyan. Although he felt that the chances of Dongbua Shuang winning this battle were low, who knew if he could win, or if he could save his life? Such a strong person, he must be on good terms with. From his point of view, Yu and Dongbo Shuiying were very close. Ji Rong and Qing Shi were even closer. It would be better to bring these two girls along. Yes, teacher. Yu and Ji Rong obediently complied. Bai Yuanji's other direct disciple had already left his tutelage. Who? Under Bai Yuanji's control, the Black Moon centipede instantly flew up into the sky. Bai Yuanji, Si Chun, Yu and Ji Rong were sitting on it. The Black Moon centipede flew up to a height of a few hundred meters and simultaneously flew towards Snow Rock Castle. Xiang Pangyun actually appeared here. Sichin looked down at the battle between the two experts and was still trembling. That Dongbo Shuiying is actually fighting on par with him. How is this possible? This Xiang Pangyun and my family's ancestor are on the same level. According to what I know, when Xiang Pangyun was an assassin, he had killed a few legend rankers. Normally, he would kill them in one move. Why would he fight for such a long time? Brother Si-chun, your experience is still too little. Bai Yuanji commented, look at the commotion caused by the battle between the two of them. Look at the scene of the surrounding rocks collapsing. According to my calculations, the shockwave produced by their battle has already far exceeded that of a normal legend ranker. Sichin nodded slightly. Xiang Pangyun could dominate Azure River County for so long. He definitely has some powerful methods. Bai Yuanji said, in this battle, Dongbo Shuiying is in danger. Of course, to be able to fight with Xiang Pangyun to this extent, he is already very amazing. He is only 22 years old. This is really unimaginable and inconceivable. If we give him another 5 or 6 years, I'm afraid that his strength will surpass Xiang Pangyun and Si Liang Hong, becoming the strongest in our Azure River County. Si Chun did not want to believe it, but the truth was right in front of him. He is indeed amazing. Si Chun praised, truly amazing. To be so powerful at 22 years old, even in our Dragon Mountain Empire, he might even have a chance to become a transcendent. The two of them were amazed. Yu and Ji Rong were shocked. Ji Rong's face turned pale. She knew that her thoughts were wrong. In this Snow Rock Castle, all wealth was just an illusion. The most terrifying and powerful person was Dongbo Shuiying. Yi was also shocked. The one fighting with Dongbo Shuiying was actually Xiang Pangyun. Yi was stunned. Xiang Pangyun, the strongest in Azure River County? Dongbo Shuiying could fight with him to this extent? He was only 22 years old. In the future, he might even become a transcendent. Yu felt her heart was empty. She was anxious and powerless. A chance to reach the heavens in a single bound had been right in front of her, but she had missed it. Why couldn't she endure it? Wouldn't she have been able to see this battle if she had waited for a while longer? Why did she decide to abandon him at that time? Why did she say those words to her brother? She finally understood why Dongbo Shuiying could hear her conversation. As a legend ranker who was one with the world, how could she hide her actions? Phew! Yu slowly exhaled a breath of air, feeling a sense of loss. If she had followed Dongbo Shuiying wholeheartedly, she might have been able to climb to the top of the Dragon Mountain Empire. That was a level that she could not even imagine. She suddenly realized she might have missed the most important opportunity in her life. It was too difficult to encounter such an opportunity again in this lifetime. Not good. Xiang Pangyun is going all out. Bai Yuanji suddenly exclaimed. Pung, pung, pung. The intensity of the battle below suddenly rose to another level. Whether it was the Black Moon centipede in the sky or the people in Snow Rock Castle, everyone's heart was in their throats. Everyone could see the intensity of the battle increase. Dongbo Shuiying was bombarded into the mountain rocks. The mountain trembled and a huge crack appeared. Dongbo Shuiying hurriedly dodged. A biting cold blade descended from the sky. Pong! Dongbo Shuiying staggered backward from the impact. Ha! Dongbo Shuiying, Dongbo Shuiying, I was just playing with you just now. A plaything like you. I'm afraid it's hard for me to meet even once or twice in my life. But now I'm done playing. It's time for you to die. Xiang Pangyun's laughter resounded through the sky. His strength and speed had all increased by a huge amount, completely suppressing Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang tried his best to use his spear to block, but he was beaten into a sorry state. Rumble, a huge cliff broke apart and rolled down the mountain. Fighting with an expert like you, I've benefited a lot. I wanted to continue fighting for a while longer. It's a pity that you don't want to play anymore. Dongbua Shuang tumbled backwards and landed on a huge rock. There was no trace of panic in his eyes, only excitement. Then let's fight to the death. A faint blood-red aura appeared on the surface of Dongbua Shuang's body, and his life force suddenly increased. Power bloodline, activate. Take this. Boom. A frightening shadow of a spear, carrying with it a might that could sweep through the heavens and earth, swept over a distance of over 100 meters, and suddenly lashed out. Xiang Pangyun fiercely slashed out with his saber. Accompanied by a loud boom, Xiang Pangyun's eyes widened in shock, and he could not help but take 6 steps back. Each step caused the ground on the mountain peak to tremble, and then his body crashed into a large tree behind him. Hong! The tree directly exploded. Xiang Pangyun could not believe that he was actually at a disadvantage. What? In the night sky, Great Wizard by Yuan Ji and the rest who were on the Black Moon Centipede widened their eyes in disbelief. Great! Qing Shi, Zhong Ling, Tong San, and the rest who were watching nervously from the Snow Rock Castle all became excited. Chapter 66. When a spear collided with Xiang Pangyun's saber, Dongbua Shuang exerted strength in both his arms, causing the spear to twist, forming a shocking arc. It was as if a flood dragon had emerged from the water and continued to stab towards Xiang Pangyun. Dang! Xiang Pangyun did not dare to face the spear head-on. He held the saber with both hands and defended while retreating. How did his strength increase so much in such a short period of time? This increase in strength is simply too much. Xiang Pangyun did not dare to believe it. Usually, the more powerful Do-Chi techniques have some desperate methods, allowing the user to unleash more Do-Chi in an instant, increasing the power. But normally, the increase in strength would not be so exaggerated. His strength had doubled. This was simply too shocking. It was like 2 ordinary soldiers. One had the strength of 50 Jin, the other 200 Jin. One could easily beat the other. And when one's strength increased, one had the strength of 50,000 Jin, the other had the strength of 100,000 Jin. Actually, the difference in strength was even more obvious during combat, because one side had the strength of 50,000 Jin more than the other. In terms of techniques, the weaker side would lose his life in 2 or 3 moves. Die! Dongbua Shuang advanced rapidly. His spear was like a dragon, attacking continuously. Pooh! In an instant, the spear tore through the air and stabbed towards Xiang Pangyun's face. Xiang Pangyun frantically dodged, using his saber to block. Block! The stab immediately turned into a collapsing force, the spearhead directly causing Xiang Pangyun to fly up and crash into a nearby mountain rock. The mountain rock immediately cracked and turned into countless rocks. Die. Each of Dongbua Shuang's spear was faster than the previous. Each strike aimed to take a life. After gaining the upper hand in strength, Dongbua Shuang's continuous attacks brought about a suffocating sense of threat, as though he could lose his life at any moment. On the other side, the Black Moon Centipede rapidly landed on Snow Rock Castle. Bai Yuan Ji said, "Brother Zhong Ling, Brother Tong, and Qing Shi, quickly come up. We'll fly high up in the sky. That way, Sir Lord can fight Xiang Pangyun with a peace of mind. If you guys stay here, Zhang Pangyun might not be able to win and kill you guys to threaten the Lord." "Thank you, great mage," Zhong Ling said. At the same time, he said, "Tong San, Qing Shi, let's hurry up." The Black Moon Centipede was a relatively large alchemy organism. Its body was rather long, and it could still support 7 people on its back. If they squeezed a little, even 10 people would be able to sit on it. Zhong Ling, Tong San, and Qing Shi quickly went up and sat down. "Who? The black moon centipede quickly slithered towards the sky. Qing Shi, Ji Rong whispered. Qing Shi, who was on Ji Rong's back, glanced at her. His mood at this moment was completely different from how it was during the day. He had always been carefree. Because of his girlfriend and his brother's overbearing behavior, he willfully said some words that hurt his brother's heart. But now that she had seen that battle, especially when she saw that her brother was in danger and could lose his life at any moment. Moreover, this battle was because of the trouble he caused. This made him no longer have any temper towards his brother. There was only nervousness and worry. At the same time, after losing some of his anger towards his brother, he could naturally stand on a more impartial point of view and recall what he had said to his brother during the day. At that time, I thought that it was only one side of the story and that most of it was just conjecture. But in reality, Ji Rong's words were also one side of the story. In comparison, brother's words were backed by Dragon Mountain Manor's intelligence. Dragon Mountain Manor monitors the world, and their intelligence is more trustworthy. Qing Shi thought to himself, young people in love would always be hot-headed, especially when it was their first love. He was also 16 years old, the age where it was easiest for him to lose his hair. But in the face of his brother's life, he calmed down. Although he was simple, he was not stupid. On the contrary, he was very smart. If Dragon Mountain Manor's intelligence is completely correct, Ji Rong's father and mother are extremely hypocritical and vicious people. Ji Rong is also very vicious. This kind of family are all like this. Qing Shi felt a chill run down his spine. Not good. Just as the Black Moon centipede flew into the sky, before Qing Shi and Ji Rong could speak, Great Master by Yuan Ji's expression changed. Qing Shi, Zhongling, and Tong Sen all looked down. The situation had indeed changed again. Originally, Xiang Pangyun, who was wearing a dark red robe, had a layer of blood red flowing light on the surface of his body, making his whole body look like a blood-red figure. That blood-red flowing light was his protective Do Qi, but now the layer of Do Qi had completely disappeared, and at the same time, his aura had clearly become stronger. Even though they were high up in the sky, they could not help but feel fear. I have not used my full strength for 30 years. Even that old fellow Si Lianghong was not willing to fight a real battle with me. Dongbo Shuang, you forced me to use my full strength. Even if I die, you should be satisfied. Xiang Pangyun's ruthless aura was monstrous. In the past, his faint blood-red eyes had now become completely blood-red. The Do Qi within his body was rapidly being consumed. Even his protective Do Qi had been withdrawn into his body to maintain this consumption. The consumption rate had skyrocketed. Naturally, his strength had also skyrocketed. A true top-notch Do Qi technique would usually have a desperate move. In the end, Dongbo Shuang had only learned a very weak middle-grade Do Qi technique, 3-stage flame technique. He did not have such a desperate move. In fact, even if he did, it would be useless. With just a silver moon ranked Do Qi, it would be useless against him. After all, Dongbo Shuang's body was much stronger than Do Qi. Boom. Both sides clashed. Dongbo Shuang was bombarded again and again as he retreated and dodged again and again. Not good. Dongbo Shuang's expression changed. Is this Xiang Pangyun's true strength? My current strength is still far from the top 500 rankers of the Dragon Mountain Roll. He had already activated his power bloodline and was going all out. Wah! A white ray of light flashed past. Dongbo Shuang dodged at lightning speed. When the tip of his spear clashed with the white ray of light, the white ray of light changed its direction slightly and swept across the surroundings. The surrounding rocks and trees were all neatly sliced apart. Such a fast blade. Dongbo Shuang dodged with all his might. Xiang Pangyun had already reached power as one. His weapon was not any weaker than Dongbo Shuang's. His blade technique was also extremely powerful, not any weaker than the Black Eye Spear technique. Furthermore, his experience was much richer than Dongbo Shuang's. After gaining the upper hand, Dongbo Shuang immediately felt a sense of crisis. Every time he blocked, he felt that it was very strenuous. In the sky, Qing Shi, Zhong Ling, by Yuan Ji and the others who were on the Black Moon Centipede became nervous. Yu Yu and Ji Rong also had complicated feelings as they looked down anxiously. Is he going to die? Although Ji Rong was nervous, she was also looking forward to it. Dongbua Shuang. Yu Yu was in a dilemma. If Dongbua Shuang died in battle, it would be a wise decision for her to give up on Dongbua Shuang. But on the other hand, she did not have much resentment towards Dongbua Shuang. They had been together for a long time. At the very least, she was very familiar with him. If he died in battle, she would feel bad. Brother, Qing Shi was extremely nervous. Zhong Ling and Tong San were the same. The three of them were the most nervous ones. Dongbua Shuang was their closest kin. Zhong Ling and Tong San had watched Dongbua Shuang grow up. They treated him like their own child. How could they not be nervous and worried? But the three of them had no other choice but to watch. So. Dongbua Shuang moved like lightning. After he unleashed his power, his speed was extremely fast. His spear technique turned into a mirage as he blocked every attack. He had pushed himself to the limit. Xiang Pangyun's speed was even faster. His blade technique was even more ferocious. The peak of Snorrock Mountain was in a mess. Some of the trees and rocks had been smashed into pieces. We can't go on like this. Dongbua Shuang's forehead was full of sweat. It's too tiring. If we continue to fight like this, we might lose our lives. Run. While Dongbua Shuang was fighting, he had been paying attention to his brother. When Great Mage by Yuan Ji brought his brother, Uncle Zong, and Uncle Tong to the sky on the Black Moon Centipede, Dongbua Shuang was no longer worried. What he needed to do now was to protect his own life. So, Dongbua Shuang clashed with his weapon again. In an instant, he used the force to run 200 to 300 meters away. He had escaped. Escape? Do you think you can escape? Xiang Pangyun laughed sinisterly. In a flash, he chased after Dongbua Shuang. Chapter 67. Dongbua Shuang ran with all his might, leaving behind a blurry afterimage. The world energy around him surged, blocking the blood-red qi wave behind him. Xiang Pangyun chased after him with a ferocious expression. The distance between the two of them continued to shrink. Although he could not see what was happening behind him, the world energy could sense that Xiang Pangyun was getting closer. His speed is faster than mine. Dongbua Shuang's speed was too fast. In just a few breaths, he had already reached the edge of a cliff on Snorrock Mountain. So, exerting strength from both his legs, he stomped on the ground. Shuang leapt off from the edge of the cliff and flew across the sky towards another mountain on the opposite side of the mountain. Humph! Xiang Pangyun also leapt out from the mountain and continued chasing after Dongbua Shuang. At their level, with the world energy acting as a buffer, they would be fine no matter how high they jumped from. Most importantly, with the help of the world energy, they would have the strength of 1,000 jin. As long as their body weight did not exceed 1,000 jin, they would be able to fly slowly. However, this kind of flying was too slow. One had to know that a meteor-rank flying beast would have a strength of tens of thousands of jin with a single flap of its wings. With the addition of its body structure, it would be able to reach the speed of sound. 4 legend rankers like Dongbua Shuang, with just the help of the world energy, their flying speed was too slow. Regardless of whether it was flying boats, flying gold-smelted artifacts, or flying beasts, they would be able to leave them far behind. Even ordinary birds might be able to fly faster than them. Furthermore, it was not easy to borrow strength from the air. Strength came from the roots, and the feet were the roots. For example, when a spear thrust or a blade slashed, the strength would be transmitted from the feet. When in the air, one would not be able to exert strength from the feet. After all, the world energy could only support the strength of 1,000 jin. How could a legend ranker exert strength from the feet? The world energy would not be able to support them, and they would not be able to display their full strength in the air. Thus, they rarely fought in the air. Pung! With the help of the heaven and earth energy, Dongbua Shui Ying crossed 300 meters in a single leap and landed on the other side of the mountain. The ground beneath his feet shook violently, and he continued to flee at high speed without any hesitation. Pong! Xiang Pengyan also landed halfway up the mountain and chased after it crazily. Run, run, run. The two of them accelerated to the limit. Mountains and rivers were like flat ground to them. In fact, as they were fleeing, Dongbua Shui Ying's spear swept past some of the boulders beside him, sending them flying towards Xiang Pengyan. However, Xiang Pengyan's body flashed as he stepped on the boulder and continued his pursuit. He would not be so foolish as to split the boulder apart, as that would be a waste of time. The distance between them continued to shorten. In just a few breaths' time, he had crossed 3 mountains. Just as he leaped over the 4th mountain, Xiang Pengyan caught up with him. The two of them clashed again in midair. Chi! Dongbua Shui Ying turned around to face Xiang Pengyan. In midair, Xiang Pengyan charged forward with his saber, turning into a white ray of light. Dongbua Shui Ying tried to block it with his spear, but Xiang Pengyan changed his saber technique, not giving Dongbua Shui Ying the chance to do so. Both of them were very smart. The moment they clashed head-on, Xiang Pengyan would suffer from the recoil, and his speed would be greatly reduced. On the other hand, Dongbua Shui Ying would be able to make use of the recoil to increase his speed. Trying to kill me without clashing head-on? Dongbua Shui Ying laughed coldly. The spear in his hand turned into an arc, and the tip of the spear was like a whirlpool, spinning continuously. At the same time, it turned into a lightning-fast attack. Snowflakes were floating around the spear, and Xiang Pengyan was unable to get his way. Wanting to break through Dongbua Shui Ying's spear technique without relying on strength and speed, that was too difficult. After all, the gap between them was not that big yet. In midair, both of them exchanged over 10 moves. Dong! Dongbua Shui Ying landed on the side of a mountain. The moment he landed, he immediately changed his direction and dashed to the side. Xiang Pengyan, who had just landed, had no choice but to chase after him. Damn it! If I don't use my strength to suppress him head-on, it will be hard for me to kill him. Xiang Pengyan nodded his head. It's better to suppress him head-on. Even if he uses the momentum to escape, I still have a chance to kill him every time I exchange blows with him. After changing his strategy, everything was different. Boom! On a rocky beach, there was a surging azure river that was thousands of meters wide. Dongbua Shui Ying and Xiang Pengyan exchanged blows once again. Dongbua Shui Ying did not dare to turn his back to Xiang Pengyan, and he had to face him head-on. In an instant, both of them exchanged over 10 moves. Dongbua Shui Ying had been looking for an opportunity. Fighting head-on was not always possible. For example, if his opponent slashed downwards, he would not be able to use the momentum. Could he use the momentum to dig into the ground? Xiang Pengyan tried to suppress Dongbua Shui Ying head-on, but he did not want to give Dongbua Shui Ying a chance to escape. However, the more they exchanged blows, the more opportunities there would be. After all, in a life-and-death battle, many moves were based on instinct, and there was no room to be picky. Run! Dongbua Shui Ying found an opportunity again. Using the momentum from the collision, he ran 200 to 300 meters away and ran on the surface of the river. Damn it, he escaped again. Xiang Pengyan's blood-red eyes were filled with madness. Every time you exchange blows with me, you are always hovering on the edge of life and death. Let's see how long you can last. Both of them, one in front and one behind, chased each other crazily on the surface of the river. In the night sky, the Black Moon's centipede was desperately flying, and on top of it, there was a faint light screen. Inside the light screen were by Yuanji, Qing Shi, Zhongling, Tong San, Kong Yu, Si Chun, and Jiro. They were nervously watching the shocking chase below, watching the two of them running on the surface of the river as if they were walking on the surface of the river. Both parties in the pursuit battle had erupted with strength that made them tremble. Xiang Pengyan had already been forced to use his Do Qi secret technique. Dongbua Shui Ying had also activated his power bloodline long ago. Logically speaking, Xiang Pengyin and Dongbua Shueing would consume a lot of energy under such a situation. Fortunately, both of them were one with the world and constantly had the energy of heaven and earth flowing into their bodies to replenish their energy. Thus, they could last longer in a battle. If they did not use their bloodline, they could fight for days and nights without running out of energy. Too fast, their speed is too fast. By Yuan Ji, Si Chun, and the rest were shocked. They're still fighting while chasing. Si Chun exclaimed, "There are even mountains, rivers, and forests on the way. But we have been chasing in a straight line in the sky, and it is still so difficult to track them. This Black Moon centipede speed is probably at half the speed of sound." Close to half. There are a lot of people up there this time. Normally, it would be more than half. Bai Yuanji nodded. Close to half the speed of sound. Flying in a straight line in the sky was already very difficult. One could imagine how fast the two of them were. Is this his strength? Yu looked at the two figures that were chasing each other. She couldn't help but hold her breath. In the past, she had always thought that Dongbua Shueing was a martial arts fanatic. But now, she felt how wrong she was. This kind of strength was enough to make mortals despair. Mortals, even an army of 100,000 or 1,000,000, would be a joke in front of this kind of strength. Although they are not transcendents, they're close to it. Bai Yuanji said, "I heard that those who are ranked at the top of the Dragon Mountain book even have the strength to kill some weak transcendents. Xiang Pengyun is ranked 500, so his strength should be close to transcendence." Close to transcendence? The rest of them looked at the two of them and were shocked. Brother. Qing Shi clenched his fists tightly as he looked down. He was proud to have such a big brother, but he was also incomparably nervous and worried. He even felt guilty because this battle was caused by him, even though Shueing never blamed him, and even felt that it was normal for his little brother to retaliate in self-defense under such circumstances. Qing Shi felt that it was normal. But Qing Shi still felt guilty and blamed himself, especially because he had just quarreled with his brother during the day. Brother, you will definitely survive. Definitely. Qing Shi had never been so nervous and worried since he was young. If his brother really died, he wouldn't know what to do. He didn't even dare to think about the result. Dongbua Shueing was frantically escaping. Hoo. The wind was whistling in his ears, and the surroundings were moving backwards at high speed. Only Xiang Pengyun was getting closer. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had already fought 9 times. They had already escaped 100 miles away. Almost there, Dongbua Shueing looked at the towering mountain in front of him. The only chance for me, Dongbua Shueing, to survive is here. Chapter 68. Dongbua Shueing soon arrived at the foot of the mountain and started to rush up. So, his body turned into a shadow as he flew up the mountain. In the blink of an eye, he had reached a height of 200 to 300 meters. Xiang Pengyun did not hesitate to chase after him. The two of them, one in front and one behind, approached the peak of the mountain. This seemingly majestic mountain was like a flat ground to Dongbua Shueing and Xiang Pengyun. Rushing up the mountain again, Xiang Pengyun had already climbed over several mountains. At first, he did not think much of it, but as the wind grew stronger, his face changed. This is Blackwind Cliff? This Dongbua Shueing is actually rushing towards Blackwind Cliff? Xiang Pengyun immediately understood his intention. Blackwind Cliff itself was not that dangerous, but the abyss beside Blackwind Cliff was the famous Forbidden Land Blackwind Abyss. One must know that the mountain range of desolation was the place where most demonic beasts gathered. The clash between humans and demonic beasts had been going on for countless years. Even with the birth of powerful existences like the Dragon Mountain Emperor, the demonic beasts could not be exterminated. Demonic beasts wanted to eat humans, and humans wanted to kill demonic beasts. Mortal armies would sweep through the area, and transcendents from both sides would occasionally fight to the death. Therefore, in the mountain range of desolation, there were some special areas caused by terrifying battles. Some of these areas were even dangerous to transcendents. These areas were mostly located deep within the mountain range of desolation. As for the areas outside the mountain range of desolation, there were dozens of such areas. Among them, Black Wind Abyss was a forbidden land hundreds of miles away from the mountain range of desolation. A long time ago, Black Wind Abyss was like this. This place was known as a forbidden land. You want to go to Blackwind Cliff? Xiang Pangyun's face was ferocious as he chased after Dongbua Shuang. Of course, I'm going Blackwind Cliff. Are you afraid? Dongbua Shuang flew in front. Damn it! Xiang Pangyun chased after Dongbua Shuang. Halfway up the mountain, when the two of them had flown more than 2,000 meters, they began to fight again. This time, Xiang Pangyun really wanted to kill Dongbua Shuang. Although he had the upper hand, the gap between the two of them had not reached the point of despair. Not to mention, upon seeing a chance of survival, Dongbua Shuiying's fighting spirit grew even stronger as he fought with all his might. After a head-on collision, Dongbua Shuiying continued charging upwards. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The wind around them grew stronger and stronger. The wind was gray, and the higher up they went, the darker the black color became. We're almost there. Dongbua Shuiying had never been here before. He only knew how scary this place was. We can't catch up. Xiang Pangyun wanted to fight again before Dongbua Shuiying reached the Black Wind Cliff, but judging from the distance between them, it was too late. Whoosh! Dongbua Shuiying continued flying and finally arrived at the highest point of the mountain. It was a barren mountain peak that was at least 200 to 300 meters tall. Not even a single blade of grass grew on the peak. A black gale was howling in the surroundings. Black Wind Cliff. Dongbua Shuiying stood at the peak of the mountain. This barren mountain peak was none other than the Black Wind Cliff. Beside the Black Wind Cliff, there was a huge black whirlpool. The black whirlpool covered an area of a few thousand meters, and it seemed to be able to engulf everything in the world. This scene was extremely shocking. Even legend rankers would feel extremely weak in front of it. The black whirlpool led to the deepest part of the mountain. What a strong wind! Even though he was standing on the Black Wind Cliff, Shuiying felt as if thousands of kilograms of force was exerting on his body. The closer he got to the edge of the cliff, the stronger the force of the gale became, sometimes exceeding 5,000 kilograms. Only experts of the same rank could stand stably on the Black Wind Cliff. Even Silver Moon Knights, whose strength exceeded 5,000 kilograms, would not be able to stand stably on such a gale and might even be swept into the Black Wind Abyss. Haha, Xiang Pangyun, do you dare to have a life and death battle with me on the Black Wind Cliff? Dongbua Shuiying held the Feishue godly spear in his hand as he stared at Xiang Pangyun, who was also coming up. Xiang Pangyun looked at the surrounding scene with an ugly expression on his face. They were able to stand stably on the Black Wind Cliff. But if they were to engage in a life and death battle, both sides would be moving at high speeds. Especially when their weapons collided. If they were not careful, they would be thrown off the Black Wind Cliff. If they were to fly up, even with the help of the world energy, they would only be able to exert 1,000 gene of strength. It would be impossible for them to resist the violent winds of the Black Wind Abyss. You should know how dangerous the Black Wind Abyss is. It is a dangerous place with a history of over 10,000 years. Once trapped inside, transcendents might be able to come out alive. But for legend rankers below transcendents, although there have been many legend rankers who have ventured into the Black Wind Abyss in the past 10,000 years, but for those who have truly entered the depths, not a single one has been able to come out alive. Dongbua Shuiying said, "Those who were below transcendents who dared to enter had all died. Of course, there might be some who survived, but at least according to the public records, no one had been able to come out alive. From this, it could be seen how dangerous it was." Transcendents have also said that the Black Wind Abyss is filled with endless power. Once sucked into the abyss, the speed of the whirlpool would become faster and faster. Even a legend ranker would die from the fall. Dongbua Shuiying continued to talk about the terrifying dangers of the abyss, hoping to scare Xiang Pangyun. That was indeed the case. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for a legend ranker to die from falling from such a high altitude. But in the Black Wind Abyss, once sucked into the whirlpool, the violent winds would become extremely strong and the speed of the fall would become faster and faster. Very soon, one would surpass the speed of sound and reach a terrifying speed. Even a legend ranker would not be able to slow down. That bit of world energy was useless in the depths of the whirlpool. The moment one collided with the bottom of the abyss, a legend ranker would immediately die from the fall. Therefore, they would not even be able to survive the first trial. Those who had previously explored the abyss would only slowly go down the cliff. Unless they retreated halfway, those who dare to enter the abyss would also die. Clearly, the dangers of the Black Wind Abyss were not as simple as the violent winds. You are very good. Xiang Pangyun's blood-red eyes were filled with killing intent. Very good. It has been a long time since I, Xiang Pangyun, have been forced into such a situation. It was only when I was younger and weaker that I had to face such dangers. However, I've already lived for more than 100 years. So what if I die? Furthermore, as an assassin, I have never been afraid of death. Today, I will accompany you, Dongbua Shuang, to have a battle on the Black Wind Cliff. Let's see who will die. Xiang Pangyun started walking towards Dongbua Shuang. At first, he was walking very slowly. Then he gradually increased his speed. Obviously, he was trying to adapt to the violent winds. The world energy from both sides was still colliding. However, this bit of world energy seemed so weak in the face of the violent winds. You really have guts. Dongbua Shuiying's eyes were also filled with fighting intent. Let's see who will live and who will die. This place was the only place that he could think of that had a chance of survival. After all, even if he tried to escape, he would not be able to escape too far. Xiang Pangyun had been chasing him all this time. Even if he tried to escape, he would only be able to escape within a 100 to 200 li radius. Escape towards the Water Rights Town? To Xiang Pangyun and Dongbua Shuang, the Water Rights Town was not a threat at all. They could escape towards the depths of the mountain range of desolation. However, the Snowrock Castle was already 1,000 li away from the periphery of the mountain range of desolation. The distance to the depths of the mountain range of desolation was even further. The Black Wind Cliff was the only place that he could think of. It was an extremely dangerous place. It would be best if Xiang Pangyun retreated in the face of difficulties and did not want to fight with his life. However, if Xiang Pangyun continued to fight, and both sides fought, one of them might accidentally get sucked into the Black Wind Abyss. The more external factors, the more likely it was for him to have a chance of survival. Kill! Xiang Pangyun moved. In a blink of an eye, he dashed forward and slashed the saber in his hand towards Dongbua Shuiying's legs. Dang! His long spear immediately blocked the attack. At the same time, he tried to retreat. The impact of the collision between the weapons was extremely strong. Coupled with the violent winds, he could not help but retreat. His feet even left the ground. Seeing that he was about to be sucked into the Black Wind Abyss, Dongbua Shuiying immediately swung the long spear in his hand. Pump! The long spear pierced into the ground and instantly rebounded, dodging the attack. Fighting on the Black Wind Cliff is indeed different. Dongbua Shuiying was secretly shocked. He knew that this place was dangerous, and he was mentally prepared for it. However, he had never fought here before. Dongbua Shuiying, in terms of combat experience, I am much more experienced than you. Xiang Pangyun laughed sinisterly as he continued to attack. At the peak of the Black Wind Cliff, under the violent winds, the two of them began to fight crazily. Boom! Xiang Pangyun was forced to retreat. He quickly slashed his saber at the mountain rocks to borrow strength, and continued to attack Dongbua Shuiying. Dongbua Shuiying raised his long spear, wanted to throw Xiang Pangyun into the air so that he would not be sucked into the abyss. However, Xiang Pangyun did not even try to block the attack. After all, he had the upper hand, and the initiative was in his hands. Both sides were trying their best to kill each other. The peak of the Black Wind Cliff was filled with cracks and ravines. Large amounts of rocks were thrown into the air, and were sucked into the depths of the black wind abyss. Chapter 69. The black wind cliff was so high that it pierced through the clouds. High above the clouds, the black moon centipede hovered. On the back of the centipede, by Yuan Ji, Qing Shi, Zhong Ling, Tong San, Kong Yu, Ji Rong, Si Chun, and the rest were all nervously watching the battle below. The black wind cliff. They're actually fighting to the death on the black wind cliff. Bai Yuan Ji exclaimed. Beside the black wind cliff, above the black wind abyss, was a huge black wind whirlpool. The huge whirlpool set off endless gales, as if the heavens and earth were shaking and twisting. This kind of power caused them to feel a little afraid. In the whistling black wind, two figures were crazily fighting on the cliff. They are in danger now. Once they leave the ground without any support, they will be sucked into the black wind abyss. Bai Yuan Ji said, sucked into the black wind abyss, us mortals will definitely die. I'm afraid that only transcendents will be able to come out alive. This Xiang Pangyun, why is he chasing after my brother? Qing Shi was so anxious that his body was trembling. Didn't he want to kill me? My brother has no grudge against him. Why is he fighting with my brother on the black wind cliff without any regard for his life? Yes. Bai Yuanji shook his head. It's fine if he chased us all the way here. The black wind cliff is indeed very dangerous, but Xiang Pangyun still doesn't give up. AI. No wonder people say that he is a madman who enjoys killing. He doesn't think the same way as we do. Perhaps to him, your brother is the best prey. Damn, why is it like this? Qing Shi anxiously looked at the two figures fighting below. The spear-wielding black-clothed youth was his brother, his most important family member. Time passed minute by minute. Dongbo Shui was walking on the edge of life and death. He even deliberately approached the edge of the black wind cliff to make Xiang Pangyun more cautious. Pung. Both sides separated from each other. Xiang Pangyun didn't continue to attack, but stared at Dongbo Shui. You still haven't used up your battle chi? Xiang Pangyun was somewhat unwilling. What's wrong? Is your do chi about to run out? Like I said, you've been using your do chi secret technique for so long. It should be running out soon. On the other hand, Dongbo Shuiying's eyes were filled with excitement. He had succeeded. He had made use of the dangerous environment of the Black Wind Cliff to make Xiang Pangyun hesitate. That was why he was able to hold on for so long. After a long time, both of them were in a state of explosive power. When Xiang Pangyun used his Do Chi secret technique, the rate at which his Do Chi was consumed rapidly increased. Dongbo Shuiying had also activated his bloodline of power, and his stamina was also being depleted rapidly. Although the power of heaven and earth was replenished, the replenishment could not keep up with the consumption. Finally, Xiang Pangyun's battle energy could not hold on any longer. He had finally grasped this slim chance of survival. Why do you have more Do Chi than me? Xiang Pangyun did not dare to believe it. He had lived for so long, and his Do Chi cultivation had already reached the level of transcendent perfection. His techniques were passed down to him by his father. Logically speaking, it was rare to find a legend ranker who had more Do Chi than him, not to mention a brat who had just stepped into the legend ranker. How would he know? What Dongbo Shuiying was consuming was his stamina. In terms of endurance, it was obvious that it would last longer than his explosive Do Chi. Your Do Chi is about to run out. If you continue to fight, you will be the one to die. Dongbo Shuiying stared at his opponent. Xiang Pangyun's speed was faster than his, and he still had some Do Chi left. If he were to escape now, he would definitely be able to leave him far behind. Dongbo Shuiying. Xiang Pangyun did not panic. His blood-red eyes looked at the black-robed youth in front of him. I admire you. You are only 22 years old this year, and you are already able to achieve one with the world. Furthermore, your strength is as one. You are even able to fight with me to this extent. In terms of strength, although you are slightly weaker than me and Si Liang Hong, you are still qualified to be ranked in the top 1,000 of the Dragon Mountain book. 22 years old, and you are already so amazing. You still have a long life ahead of you. If you continue to fight, There is an 80 to 90% chance that you will become a transcendent in the future. Once you become a transcendent, you will be on a whole new level. Dongbo Shuiying felt that something was amiss. Something was wrong. Logically speaking, his Do Qi was about to run out. Xiang Pangyun should either seize the opportunity to continue attacking, or he should immediately give up and retreat. Why is he talking nonsense here? A future transcendent. Killing you is a huge contribution. Xiang Pangyun suddenly laughed sinisterly. His entire body suddenly started to change. He started to expand rapidly, and a large amount of black scales appeared on the surface of his expanded skin. In a blink of an eye, the Xiang Pangyun in front of him had turned into a black four-hooved, mutated beast that was over 10 meters long. The four-hooved, mutated beast had a pair of scaled wings. Its eyes were blood-red in color, and the black scales on its body had a faint blood-red color circulating around it. It was strange and unfathomable. The aura it was emitting made even Dongbo Shuiying feel threatened. Its body height was at least 6 meters. With such a huge demonic beast appearing in front of him, Dongbo Shuiying was completely stunned. Duh! Demonic beast? You are not a human. Dongbo Shuiying did not dare to believe his eyes. A demonic beast, and a mutated demonic beast at that. He instantly came to a conclusion. The demonic beast in front of him was a terrifying 6th-ranked demonic beast. Furthermore, it was a mutated one. In terms of strength, a 6th-ranked demonic beast was equivalent to a legend ranker. There were actually only so many normal demonic beasts. They were all recorded in human books and could be recognized with a single glance. As for the mutated demonic beast, it was a demonic beast that had awakened its primordial bloodline that was not even recorded in the books. In the primordial era, there were giants and also beasts. Therefore, it was extremely rare for demonic beasts to awaken their primordial bloodline. Unlike humans who relied on their Do Qi, demonic beasts relied on their bodies. Therefore, the mutated demonic beasts that awakened their primordial bloodline were extremely terrifying. The four-hooved black-armored demonic beast's blood-red eyes were filled with madness. It was bestowed by its father and obtained a human body. Then, it blended into the human world. Even a legend ranker would not be able to live beyond 200 years, unless it was like Si Lianghong who had transformed her body into a blood demon. As for his alias Xiang Pangyun, he had been in the human world for over 100 years. Even if he did not expose himself this time, he would still have to return to the human world after a few more years. This time, Wind Demon accepted the mission. Actually, Xiang Pangyun did not want to get involved. However, when he heard from the Bloodshed Tavern that Dongbo Shuiying might be a legend ranker, his heart was moved. 22 years old, such a young age. The Bloodshed Tavern would not shoot without thinking. If Dongbo Shuiying was really a legend ranker, such a young legend ranker would definitely become a transcendent in the future. Killing such a genius would definitely be a great contribution. It would be even greater than killing 10 or 20 other legend rankers. Therefore, Xiang Pangyun took the initiative to tag along. The truth was even more shocking than what he had expected. This Dongbo Shuiying, not only had he achieved one with the world, his strength had also reached perfection. Furthermore, his strength had increased to a level that was close to his own. Such a monstrous genius was rarely seen in the entire Dragon Mountain Empire. How could he give up on such a great contribution? Therefore, he did not care about anything else to kill Dongbo Shuiying. From the start, the reason why he tagged along was because of this human genius. Dongbo Shuiying, prepare to die. The four-hooved, black-scaled, mutated beast charged forward. It's actually a mutated demonic beast. Dongbo Shuiying knew that the situation was far from good. He immediately moved his body and stabbed forward with lightning speed. Chi, the four-hooved, black-scaled, mutated beast, did not care about the stab at all. It allowed the stab to pierce through the scales on its chest. Cracks appeared on the scales, but the stab did not completely pierce through. Furthermore, the scales on the surface of the mutated beast's body were stacked on top of each other. It was likely that the stab would have to pierce through 2 or 3 of the scales in order to pierce through its body. Who? The four-hooved, black-scaled, mutated beast's sharp claws furiously pounced forward. Its forehooves were at least 3 meters long and were thick and powerful. The claws on its hooves were as sharp as blades. When both of its front hooves pounced forward at the same time, its might overflowed to the heavens. Dongbua Shui Ying hastily scampered away on the ground, cutting a sorry figure. Its strength is even stronger than when it is in its human form. Dongbua Shui Ying felt despair. The difference in strength was too great. The defense of the mutated demonic beast, Xiang Pangyun's scales, was extremely high. Even his spear could not pierce through it. How could he fight against it with such strength? If Xiang Pangyun's human form was around the top 500 of the Dragon Mountain roll, if not the top 100, he would at least be in the top 200. This was very normal. Demonic beasts were naturally stronger when they were in their true form. After all, the human body was much weaker. Who? The four-hooved, black-scaled, mutated beast, Xiang Pangyun, pounced forward 3 times at lightning speed. How powerful was the flapping of its scaled wings! If it were to fly, its speed could easily exceed the speed of sound. As a mutated demonic beast that could fly, it naturally did not care about the strong winds around it. Its speed was fast and its body was huge. With just 3 pounces, Dongbua Shui Ying was unable to dodge anymore. Pong! Although Dongbua Shui Ying's spear was placed horizontally in front of him to block, the claws of the four-hooved, black-scaled, mutated beast still managed to send Dongbua Shui Ying flying backwards. Freeze! Dongbua Shui Ying was sent flying horizontally. He hurriedly thrust his spear downwards with all his might. Pooh! The spear pierced more than a meter deep into the mountain rock. Although a large number of cracks appeared around the rock, Dongbua Shui Ying's body, which was flying backwards, came to a halt. Stop struggling, Dongbua Shui Ying. The four-hooved, black-scaled, mutated beast had already arrived in front of Dongbua Shui Ying. Chapter 70. High up in the sky, mastered by Yuan Ji, Qing Shi, and the others on the back of the Black Moon Centipede were stunned when they saw Xiang Pangyun suddenly transform into a gigantic four-hooved, black-scaled exotic beast. It's an exotic beast, a mutated magical beast. A rank 6 exotic magical beast. Si-chan cried out in alarm. Xiang Pangyun actually transformed into a magical beast. Bang, bang, bang. The four-hooved, black-scaled exotic beast pounced on Dongbua Shui Ying 3 times, putting him in a desperate situation. No, don't. Qing Shi burst into tears. Don't. That was his most important family member. Snow Eagle, Zhong Ling, and Tong San were also frantic. Run. Otherwise, after the Lord dies, we will also die. Mastered by Yuan Ji's expression changed greatly. When he saw the wings on the back of the four-hooved, black-scaled exotic beast, he felt fear. Because the Black Moon Centipede only moved at half the speed of sound, a rank 4 flying-type magical beast would be able to compete with it. Some of the flying-type magical beasts were even faster. A rank 5 flying-type magical beast would definitely surpass an alchemy creature like the Black Moon Centipede. As for a rank 6 magical beast, Xiang Pangyun's original form was a mutated magical beast. Its speed would probably be even more terrifying. They had to escape as soon as possible. Otherwise, they would all die in front of that terrifying, mutated magical beast. Bai Yuan Ji was very clear that after Xiang Pangyun transformed into his original form, Dongbua Shui Ying had no power to resist. The time given to them to escape was too short. They had to seize every second they had. Who? The Black Moon Centipede immediately turned and dashed into the distance. Brother, Qing Shi cried as he stared at the black wind cliff in the distance. He prayed for a miracle, praying for his brother to survive. The long spear pierced a meter deep into the mountain rock. Dongbua Shui Ying's flying body stopped, but the four-hooved, black-scaled exotic beast pounced at him again. Ha! Dongbua Shui Ying suddenly exerted his strength and pounced to the side. At the same time, he pulled out the Feishue divine spear from the mountain rocks and tried his best to avoid the four-hooved, black-armored strange beast's attack. The four-hooved, black-armored beast's blood-red eyes were filled with killing intent. Boom! Its gigantic scaled wings suddenly flapped. Just how large was the range of its wings when they were fully spread out? Its huge body rushed past Ying in an instant. Ying dodged the attack of its body, but what followed after was a huge pair of wings. On the surface of the wings, there was still a blood color circulating. Ying did not have the time to use his spear. With a pung sound, the wings directly slapped on his body. The surging power caused him to be directly sent flying backwards. With this wave, Dongbua Ying was already out of the Blackwind Cliff's range. As he continued to fly backwards, the huge black wind vortex continued to engulf him. The difference was too great. After Xiang Peng Yun returned to his demonic beast form, his strength was completely overwhelming. Furthermore, the wind at the Blackwind Cliff was too strong, and the four-hooved, black-armored strange beast was too huge. It was very difficult to dodge. Ha ha ha! The four-hooved, black-armored strange beast flapped its wings and charged out of the Blackwind Cliff, flying into the air. However, with another flap of its wings, it easily stopped in midair. Although the closer one was to the black wind vortex, the stronger the wind was. How strong was the power of the four-hooved, black-armored strange beast's wings? Furthermore, as a flying demonic beast, it was naturally good at using the wind. With a flap of its wings, its strength was inconceivable. Even in the center of the black wind vortex, it could withstand it and not be swept away, let alone in the distance. The four-hooved, black-armored strange beast and Dongbua Ying stared at each other. Dongbua Ying was swept away and sent flying backwards. The four-hooved, black-armored strange beast didn't continue to chase, because if it did, it would have to go deeper into the vortex, and the danger level would continue to increase. Naturally, it didn't want to be in danger again. Furthermore, the black wind abyss was enough to kill Dongbua Ying. Haha, Dongbua Ying, after you die, I will let your little brother and the others accompany you. You won't be lonely after you die. The four-hooved, black-armored strange beast flapped its wings and was about to soar into the sky and chase after the Black Moon Centipede. It wanted to kill all the humans on the Black Moon Centipede. Little brother. Time seemed to slow down. Dongbua Ying's eyes noticed the fleeing Black Moon Centipede in the sky. He could clearly see Uncle Zong and Uncle Tong on the back of the Black Moon Centipede, who were in pain and anxiety. He also saw his little brother, Qingshi, who was about to break down and rush out of the Black Moon Centipede. Uncle Zong and Uncle Tong were tightly holding on to Qingshi, not letting him fall. Big brother, Qingshi, who was on the back of the Black Moon Centipede, completely broke down. He stretched out his hand and looked at Dongbua Ying, who was already flying towards the center of the vortex. That was his big brother. Little stone. Dongbua Ying didn't know why, but tears suddenly flowed out. When his parents were still alive, Little Stone, who liked to hug his legs, said, "Big brother, hug. Big brother, bad guy." After being teased, Little Stone shouted, "I want to sleep with Big Brother." That chubby little brat had slept on the same bed as her for several years, and her clothes had been soaked by his saliva countless times. "Big brother, I'll give you half." The greedy little brat was reluctant to give the good food to others, but he was willing to give it to his big brother. The little brat had grown up and started to learn magic. "Brother, I'm already a mage. I'm a mage." The young man cheered. "Qingshi is awesome," said Dongbua Ying with a smile. Scenes of his life appeared in his mind. Regardless of whether he was purely mischievous or a little willful, he was still the most important family member in Dongbua Ying's life, a family member that he was willing to protect with his life. An incomparably strong will completely penetrated his soul. No one is allowed to kill my little brother. No way. Dongbua Ying, even if I die, even if he died, he would crawl out of hell. Ah! Dongbua Ying suddenly let out an incomparably angry roar. a roar that came from the depths of his life. At the same time, a short spear appeared in his right hand. At this moment, he was already flying towards the whirlpool, and there was no way for him to get close to the four-hooved, black-armored strange beast. The only way was to rely on the short spear, although the short spear looked like a joke. However, at this moment, Dong Buishuang only knew that he had to seize every opportunity. The flames of anger burned in his chest, and endless anger and anxiety filled every part of his body. The flames of anger seemed to be burning his entire body. Boom! Dazzling flames suddenly appeared on the surface of Dongbua Shui Ying's body, and flames appeared in the air around him. The short spear in his hand was also surrounded by flames. In the black wind that engulfed the world, how bright and dazzling the red flames were. At this moment, he was like a god in the flames. Boom! His body leaned back in midair, and then he suddenly exerted force. The short spear in his hand turned into a flame, like a meteor. The four-hooved, black-armored strange beast couldn't help but turn its head to look when Dongbua Shui Ying let out an angry roar. Then it saw Dongbua Shui Ying's entire body enveloped in flames, and a short spear that was shooting towards it like a meteor. The four-hooved, black-armored strange beast was immediately shocked and hurriedly tried to block it. Pooh! Its claws barely managed to block the attack, but that streak of light still pierced into the four-hooved, black-armored exotic beast's chest. The entire short spear pierced into its body, and the tip of the spear even poked out a little from the back of its neck. Die for me! A second short spear appeared in Dongbua Shui Ying's hand, and then a third short spear. Boom! Boom! The second short spear directly pierced through the strange beast's lower abdomen, creating a huge hole. The short spear also pierced deep into its body. As for the third short spear, it directly pierced through the skull of the four-hooved, black-armored exotic beast, piercing right through. Myriad, the four-hooved, black-armored strange beast looked at the figure in the flames in disbelief. At this moment, it was incomparably sure that this terrifying human genius had reached perfect unity a long time ago. Realm of myriad existences. When one's skills reached the pinnacle, the next step was to gradually grasp some of the mysteries of myriad existences. It was divided according to the realm. Great Spear Master represented the pinnacle of immortal skills. Realm of myriad existences was when a transcendent began to comprehend the nature of myriad existences. This was only the first step in comprehending the nature of myriad existences. However, only transcendence could grasp this realm. Among the legend rankers in the entire Dragon Mountain Empire, including those legend rankers who were more than 100 years old, there were only about 50 people who could reach this realm. Great Spear Master represented the perfection of one's strength. After that, one would be able to comprehend the nature of myriad existences and learn the mysteries of myriad existences. Dongbua Shui Ying's strength had reached perfect unity when he was 15 years old. After that, he built a bamboo house in the back mountain and began to comprehend the nature of myriad existences. His spear skills gradually became more and more restrained and seemed to carry some natural aura. Actually, this was the process of learning the mysteries of myriad existences. Unity of man and nature only allowed the practitioner to observe the nature of myriad existences more clearly. Before reaching unity of man and nature, one could still feel the nature of myriad existences. However, the feeling was more vague, as if one was looking at it through a thin layer of gauze. However, after 6 years, his spear skills had indeed become more and more natural, especially the Qi cultivation method 3-stage flame technique. Every time he absorbed the power of flames into his body, he could clearly feel the mysteries of the power of flames. 6 years of accumulation. At the last moment, the complete explosion of his life force, the explosion of his willpower, the endless anger and desire, allowed him to finally break through the Great Spear Master realm and reach the realm of myriad existences. As the saying goes, Myriad existences of myriad existences. Dongbua Shui Ying had grasped a bit of the mysteries of myriad existences. However, this was the power of the mysteries of myriad existences, something that only the top 50 of the Dragon Mountain rankings could grasp. This was a power that was enough to kill a pseudo-transcendent. Who? Dongbua Shui Ying bathed in flames. The surrounding flames surged, trying to stop the violent wind vortex. However, the power of the flames only had a strength of 10,000 Jin. When he threw the short spear, his body was also continuously retreating. Now, he was almost at the center of the vortex. The force of the black wind was already a few 100,000 Jin. He couldn't withstand it at all. This true, peerless genius, who was only 22 years old but was already able to rank in the top 50 of the Dragon Mountain rankings, was destined to fall after emitting a dazzling light. Qing Shi. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the black moon centipede that was fleeing in panic in the sky. A smile of relief appeared on his face. Enough. Enough. It was enough that his younger brother survived. Who? The violent wind swept past. Dongbua Shui Ying continued falling. He still raised his head and smiled at the black moon centipede in the sky. He looked at the family on the centipede's back that he was willing to protect with his life. Chapter 71. As the black moon centipede fled in panic, Great Mage by Yuan Ji nervously looked at the mutated beast below. Suddenly, he was stunned. Zhongling, Tong San, Qing Shi, Kong Yu, Ji Rong, and Si Chun were all stunned. Because, when Xiang Pangyun transformed into a mutated beast and knocked Dongbua Shui Ying off the Black Wind Cliff, Dongbua Shui Ying was involuntarily sucked into the whirlpool of wind. Suddenly, Dongbua Shui Ying let out a roar that shook the heavens and earth. His body leaned back, and a short spear appeared at his right hand. His entire body burst into flames, and dazzling flames appeared around him. The huge flames spread out like a beautiful fire lotus. Dongbua Shui Ying was like a flame god. He threw the short spear. It turned into a meteor. 1 spear, 2 spears, 3 spears. The demonic beast was unable to block any of the short spears. Each spear pierced through its vitals and killed it on the spot. Its powerful wings also softened, and its huge body no longer resisted the force of the wind. It was also sent flying into the black wind vortex. It's dead. The mutated beast is dead. Great Mage by Yuan Ji was overjoyed and shocked at the same time. Quick, go save Snow Eagle, quick. Zhongling had been on the brink of death many times and knew that time couldn't be wasted. His reaction was the fastest. Qing Shi immediately reacted and shouted, "Quick, save my brother! Teacher, quick, save my brother!" Oh! Bai Yuanji immediately reacted. Whoosh! He controlled the Black Moon's centipede and immediately turned in an arc. Then, he immediately dove down at half the speed of sound. Although the distance was more than 1,000 meters, it could easily close the distance. However, Dongbua Shui Ying was already sucked into the center of the whirlpool of wind and was sucked down. It's too late. Bai Yuanji shook his head. Even if it's too late, the Black Moon centipede won't dare to get too close. At this time, he didn't say that everyone knew it was too late. They just wanted to try their best. Dongbua Shui Ying, is he going to die? Kong Yu's thoughts were complicated. She had never thought that Dongbua Shui Ying would be this powerful. Even after Xiang Pangyun had revealed his demonic beast form, he was still killed by him. Ji Rong's eyes lit up. There was a trace of fanaticism in her eyes. He's going to die? It's good that he died. It's good that he died. He was the only one who stopped me from being together with Qing Shi. Now that he's dead, I believe that it won't be long before Qing Shi and I are together again. The treasure left behind by such a peerless expert. I will definitely obtain it and offer it to the Almighty God. He looked at the Black Moon centipede that was swooping down. Little brother. Dongbua Shui Ying glanced at the huge corpse of the four-hooved, black-armored beast. With a thought, an iron hook appeared in his hand, and he immediately flung it out. Phew! How powerful was his strength? Even in the black wind whirlpool, the iron hook turned into a blur as it flew out. It quickly wrapped around the corpse of the four-hooved, black-armored beast and wrapped around its neck twice. This rope was left behind from the storage ring of that Lord God emissary. It was extremely tough. With a sudden tug, the huge corpse of the four-hooved, black-armored beast quickly descended. At the same time, Dombo Shwe Ying rose up. Whoosh! He instantly landed on the corpse of the beast. Standing on the corpse of the four-hooved, black-armored beast, Dombo Shwe Ying felt the surrounding wind. Then, he suddenly exerted force with his legs. His entire body was bathed in flames. Boom! He soared into the sky. However, the black wind whirlpool was too powerful. Dombo Shwe Ying's speed was greatly reduced. Even with the help of the flames, he only managed to jump 50 meters before he began to descend. The Black Moon centipede swooped down at high speed. It only flew a few hundred meters before it stopped. It didn't dare to approach the black wind whirlpool. Get closer, Qingshi said anxiously. I can't get closer. The wind is too strong. If you get any closer, my Black Moon centipede won't be able to withstand it. Bai Yuanji said. The surrounding winds were howling, and the Black Moon centipede was already having a hard time dealing with them. If they were to get any closer, the Black Moon centipede would not be able to escape from the winds and would be swept away. Qingshi, Zhongling, and the others on the centipede's back anxiously looked at the black wind whirlpool in the distance. Phew! In the center of the whirlpool, the four-hooved, mutated beast's corpse suddenly sank. At the same time, a flaming figure soared into the sky. It was surrounded by a sea of red flames, trying its best to weaken the power of the wind. Brother! Qingshi shouted with tears streaming down his face. Snow Eagle, Zhongling, and Tong San were also anxious, but they couldn't do anything to help. Bathed in flames, Dombo Shwe Ying raised his head and looked at Qingshi, Zhongling, Tong San, and the others on the back of the Black Moon centipede. His body had already begun to descend uncontrollably. Qingshi, live well and don't disappoint me. Dombo Shwe Ying's vigorous voice resounded through heaven and earth. He was still most worried about his younger brother. He was afraid that if he died, his younger brother would collapse and not be able to recover. This was something he didn't want to see. Don't worry. I Dombo Shwe Ying won't die so easily. Even if I fall into the black wind abyss, I will come out alive. Dombo Shwe Ying's voice was full of fighting spirit and confidence. He glanced at the others on the back of the Black Moon centipede and suddenly saw Ji Rong. He couldn't help but be shocked. This Ji Rong was suspected by the Dragon Mountain Manor to be a follower of the evil god. Now, she actually ran to the back of the Black Moon centipede to be close to his younger brother. Qingshi, remember this. Don't be together with this Ji Rong. Master Bai Yuanji, tell her to get out of Snowrock Mountain tomorrow. Don't let her take a single step into Snowrock Mountain. Dombo Shwe Ying said firmly. Ji Rong, who was on the centipede's back, was stunned. Qingshi's brother didn't even give her a chance. Lord, don't worry. Venerable Bai Yuanji immediately agreed. Facing such a hero, such an amazing person, he was filled with respect and admiration. Thanks. Dombo Shwe Ying was still full of pride. When I return from the Black Wind Abyss, I will definitely have a drink with you. This old man will be waiting. Bai Yuanji said loudly. While they were talking, Dombo Shwe Ying's body continued to descend. Within the black wind vortex, the flame figure gradually became more and more blurred. As he descended, he looked at his younger brother Qingshi with a smile on his face. The wind was still whistling. There was no other sound in the world. The black-clothed youth in the flame had completely fallen into the depths of the black wind vortex and could no longer be seen. Qingshi's body was trembling. He stretched out his hand, wanting to grab something. The figure of his brother in the flame seemed to still be in front of him. Qingshi's emotions completely collapsed. Pain and sorrow drowned him like a tide. He had never tasted such pain before. It was as if his life was being torn apart. Brother! Qingshi let out a mournful cry. Come back, come back, come back. I will definitely listen to you. Definitely listen to you. I won't scold you anymore. I won't be angry with you anymore. Come back, come back. Zhongling and Tong San hugged Qingshi on both sides, both of them also crying. After more than 20 years together, to them, Dongbua Shuiying was like their own child. How could they not be sad? It was just that they had experienced more life and death situations, so they didn't break down. Snow Eagle, don't worry. Tong San and I will definitely take good care of Qingshi. Zhongling secretly said. Tong San hugged Qingshi. Qingshi, your brother's talent is unparalleled. His strength is far beyond our imagination. Even if he fell into the Black Wind Abyss, he will definitely come back alive, definitely. Master by Yuan Ji and Master Si Chun at the side. They all knew that Dongbua Shuiying said that he would definitely come back. It was only to give his younger brother some hope, so that he wouldn't do something stupid. Amazing. By Yuan Ji's side, only 22 years old, that Xiang Pengyan was still killed by Dongbua Shuiying even though he revealed his true form as a demonic beast. In the end, he was even able to control the flames between heaven and earth. This is already the realm of myriad existences, right? The legendary realm of myriad existences in the entire vast Dragon Mountain Empire, including those over 100 years old guys, there are less than 50 people who have reached this realm. Master Sichin also sighed, once one reaches this realm, they will definitely enter the top 50. Even if my family's ancestors were to face the current Dongbua Shuiying, they wouldn't even have the strength to fight back. Just like Xiang Pengyan, who revealed his true form, although his strength increased greatly, he was still directly killed by the short spear. This kind of strength is already enough to kill a pseudo-transcendent. Master by Yuan Ji's side, this kind of genius in the entire Dragon Mountain Empire, there will only be one every 100 years. Master Si Chun didn't have the slightest intention to compare himself with Dongbua Shuiying, only admiration and regret. Although it was rare to reach the realm of one with the world at the age of 22, there were still more than 10 people in Dragon Mountain Empire. But to reach the realm of myriad existences at the age of 22, indeed, it was hard to find one every 1 or 200 years, a true genius. Such a peerless talent. Just as he revealed his talent, he fell. Master by Yuan Ji's side. What a pity, what a pity. That's right, if he was still alive, he would definitely become a transcendent in the future. Master Si Chun also shook his head. The two of them fought and chased for over 100 li. With such a huge commotion, I believe that Dragon Mountain Manor will quickly come to find us, once the news of this battle spreads. Dongbua Shuiying will probably become truly famous, but unfortunately, it's already too late. By Yuan Ji nodded. Once the news of this battle spread, one could imagine the commotion it would cause. Originally, Dongbua Shuiying should have received endless glory or even directly walk to a higher position in the entire Dragon Mountain Empire, but he would never be able to enjoy that kind of glory again. Black Wind Abyss. The violent wind whistled. The further down he went, the stronger the wind became. Dongbua Shuiying's surroundings were filled with flames. He controlled the energy of heaven and earth to transform it into flames, doing his best to obstruct and slow down as much as possible. However, he continued to increase his speed. It's too fast. My speed has already surpassed the speed of sound. If I continue to increase my speed, if I really fall to the bottom of Black Wind Abyss, I'm afraid I'll really fall to my death. Dongbua Shuiying was anxious. Suddenly, he saw the four-hooved black-scaled mutated beast's corpse below him. That mutated beast body was bigger, and it had 2 huge wings. Obviously, when falling, the resistance of the wings was greater. Its falling speed was not as fast as Dongbua Shuiying's, allowing Dongbua Shuiying to catch up. Dongbua Shuiying's heart stirred. Immediately the flames of heaven and earth spread out, wrapping around the four-hooved mutated beast's corpse, doing his best to slow it down. As for himself, not only did he not rely on the flames to slow down, he actually increased his speed. Very quickly, Dongbua Shuiying landed on the four-hooved mutated beast corpse. He sensed a bit, and found a storage bracelet in between the scales of the beast's chest. He quickly took it and sensed it. There were many treasures in the storage bracelet, even food, a small pile of gold notes, jewels, gold coins, and so on. Nothing. Dongbua Shui Ying wanted to find something that could help him during his fall, but he did not find anything. Obviously, under normal circumstances, it was impossible for a legend ranker to fall to his death. Whether it was Xiang Pengyun or that Lord Divine Envoy, they did not prepare anything that could help reduce the impact of the fall. Dongbua Shui Ying's gaze landed on the four-hooved, mutated beast corpse. This mutated beast scales are incomparably hard, and its body is even harder than the mountain rocks and soil. The effect of reducing impact is very low. Dongbua Shui Ying flipped his hand, and Feishue's godly spear appeared in his hand. The tip of the spear was flat and sharp, and schwa. It rapidly cut off the four-hooved mutated beast's wings. The scaled wings no longer had the blood-colored light, and its defensive power had decreased. That blood-colored light was actually the manifestation of the primordial bloodline of this four-hooved mutated beast. Very quickly, one of the scaled wings was cut off. This scaled wing was more than 10 meters long and extremely wide, but its actual weight was ordinary. Clearly, there was a hollow structure inside. Pooh, 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 pooh. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately pierced through some of the scales on the wing, allowing his hands to grab the supporting bones of the wing. Whether I live or die, it all depends on this gamble. Dongbua Shui Ying put away the Feishue's godly spear and used both hands to grab onto the tough bones of the scales. Just like that, the gigantic scaled wings were propped up by him. Who? The gigantic wings that were more than 10 meters long and more than 5 meters wide were propped up like that. One had to know that the speed of his descent had exceeded the speed of sound, even though the surrounding winds were constantly pulling him downwards. But at supersonic speeds, when the gigantic wings were propped up, the force of the air currents immediately caused Dongbua Shui Ying's speed to decrease sharply, separating him from the four-hooved mutated beast's corpse below. With both hands propping up the gigantic scaled wings and the surrounding flames, although his speed had decreased, the further he descended, the stronger the wind became, causing his speed to exceed the speed of sound. Furthermore, the wind was still spinning, causing Dongbua Shui Ying to occasionally be flipped and tumbled by the wind. Then, with great difficulty, he propped up his wings again. He was struggling, trying his best to find a way to survive. How deep is this black wind abyss? I feel like I've already descended 7,000 to 8,000 meters. Dongbua Shui Ying spun and flipped as he plummeted rapidly. Dongbua Shui Ying looked through the black winds and saw a gigantic black creature entrenched on a mountain wall about a kilometer away. That blurry black creature looked a little like a gigantic dragon, but its body was more than 1,000 meters long. This length had already exceeded the length of a typical gigantic dragon. The gigantic black creature's golden eyes swept over him. Dongbua Shui Ying felt his soul tremble. With such a difference, it was as if the creature could destroy him with a single breath. At this moment, Dongbua Shui Ying understood why all those below the transcendence realm who came here to explore were doomed to die. Who? He fell very quickly, and in an instant, he could no longer see the gigantic black creature. He continued to fall deeper and darker. End of volume. The curtains of the novel are gradually opening. I'll have to trouble everyone to spend a few seconds to vote for me. Thank you very much. Chapter 72. As he was descending, he could occasionally see some black figures through the black wind. Some of them were huge, while some of them had the appearance of a normal human. The invisible pressure they exuded varied in strength. The stronger ones could kill him with a single glance if they wanted to. The weaker ones had the strength of a transcendent. This made Dongbua Shui Ying even more nervous. When he was descending, he said that he would definitely return. On one hand, it was for the sake of his younger brother, and on the other hand, he felt that he could give it a try. But now he understood how difficult it was to get out of this place alive. Forget it. I can only take it one step at a time. Dongbua Shui Ying was determined. Now, I have to think of a way to stay alive when I descend. Grabbing the skeleton of the gigantic scaled wings with both hands, he pushed them open. The direction of the wind kept changing. Dongbua Shuang tried his best to increase the resistance of the scaled wings so that he could slow down even more. But still too fast. Too fast. Dongbua Shui Ying's falling speed was still increasing. At this speed, I might fall to my death. Dongbua Shui Ying's expression changed abruptly. He could clearly see the ground below him. I'm almost there. Dongbua Shui Ying's heart was in his throat. No matter how dangerous the black wind abyss was, if he fell to his death while descending, he would not even have the chance to struggle. Boom! Suddenly, when he was about 100 meters above the ground, the wind suddenly disappeared. It was as if there was a strange barrier. There was no wind at the height of 100 meters above the ground. But 100 meters above the ground, the wind was so strong that it covered the entire sky. Dongbua Shui Ying tore through the air and descended with a sonic boom. As soon as he entered the 100-meter range, in a situation where there was no wind at all, the resistance of the gigantic scaled wings abruptly increased. Dongbua Shui Ying could feel his arms trembling. Fortunately, his body was strong, and he was able to maintain his strength at such a crucial moment, allowing him to withstand the impact. In the distance of 100 meters, Dongbua Shui Ying's speed was decreasing rapidly. But after all, it was only a distance of 100 meters. His falling speed was too fast. In the blink of an eye, he smashed into the rocks on the ground. Although his speed had been reduced by half, it still surpassed the speed of sound. He directly smashed a huge hole in the rocks. Boom! His feet landed on the ground first, followed by his whole body. The rocks were as soft as water. Simply put, with Dongbua Shui Ying's terrifying physique, the mountain rocks were indeed very fragile in front of him. When Dongbua Shui Ying fell on a mountain rock, it was like a normal person jumping into the water. However, when the speed was fast enough and the height was high enough, even the surface of the water could kill a person. Phew! When he fell, he was stunned. The huge impact caused his bones to crack, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. I'm injured. The bones in my left arm are broken, and 3 of my ribs are broken as well. The most troublesome thing is that my internal organs are injured as well. Shui Ying's control over his body was very precise. He was glad that the last 100 meters had allowed him to decelerate. His speed had been reduced by half. Otherwise, even with his scaled wings, he would still fall to his death. My injuries are more severe now, and my internal organs have been damaged. I'm unable to withstand too much damage. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately understood. I need to find a place to recover from my injuries as soon as possible. With my body's regenerative ability, I should be able to fully recover in 6 hours. His skin and flesh recovered the fastest, followed by his bones, and finally his internal organs. Regardless, Dongbua Shui Ying was still happy. At the very least, he managed to survive the fall. Following that, Shui Ying rapidly and abruptly leapt upwards to the surface. Using his hands as a support, he lowered his body and looked into the distance. He first saw the remains of the 4-hooved, black-armored corpse in front of him. After that fall, its body had long since been completely smashed, and only a part of it could be seen. At the same time, a black-armored soldier appeared in the distance. It was flying towards him with a speed as fast as a shadow. Not good. I've been discovered. Dongbua Shui Ying did not dare to hesitate, as he immediately fled. So. Shui Ying quickly retreated, but soon after, he felt puzzled and stopped. He hid behind a huge rock 1 kilometer away, peeking into the distance. At this moment, the black-armored soldier had already reached the huge pit where Shui Ying had fallen. Shui Ying's eyesight was frightening. With a single glance, he discovered that beneath the black-armored soldier's armor, his body was actually condensed from a black fog. Even the pair of eyes revealed by the mask on his face was faintly glowing red. It's not a human, nor is it a demonic beast. It seems like it's not a living being. Dongbua Shui Ying speculated doubtfully. I thought that it had discovered me and was chasing after me. Logically speaking, a normal legend ranker should have been able to see me with a single look from that distance. But it only followed the sound of the fall and looked at the pit. It did not discover me. It seems like its eyes are only average. Or perhaps it doesn't rely on its eyes? Dongbua Shueing made all sorts of conjectures. But even so, judging from the speed of the black armored soldier, it was impossible for it to escape. In terms of speed, the black armored soldier had completely surpassed Xiang Pangyun. Let's find a place to recuperate first. Dongbua Shueing observed his surroundings. Very quickly, he discovered a small cave on the side of the mountain. When the black armored soldier turned around and left, Dongbua Shueing leaped 50 meters into the small cave. He had used the heaven and earth energy to sense the small cave, but there was nothing else inside. Standing at the edge of the small cave, he carefully looked towards the direction where the black armored soldier had come from. The higher he stood, the farther he could see. That is, Dongbua Shueing was slightly shocked. About 50 to 60 kilometers away, there was a cave palace that was emitting a faint green light. Outside the cave palace, there was a large number of black armored soldiers patrolling the area. These black armored soldiers did not seem to know fatigue and were constantly patrolling the area. Apart from the black armored soldiers, there were also other black creatures that were smaller in number, but they gave off an oppressive feeling. Regardless of whether it was the black dragon-like creature that occupied the top of the mountain, or the other black creatures, including the weakest black armored soldier, Dongbua Shueing nodded his head. It seems like they are all protecting the cave palace. If I were to approach them, I would probably be killed easily. Dongbua Shueing muttered to himself. Forget it. Let's recuperate first. Dongbua Shueing retreated back into the cave and casually sat down cross-legged. With a flip of his hand, he took out a huge piece of meat. With a thought, a flame appeared and he started roasting it. This piece of meat was from Xiang Pangyun's storage treasure. In fact, regardless of whether it was Xiang Pangyun or the god's emissary, they had stored a large amount of food and water in their stored treasures. This caused Dongbua Shueing to mutter to himself. Perhaps most legend rankers would bring food and water with them? As for the smell of the barbecue, Dongbua Shueing was not worried about it. He was able to control the heaven and earth energy, completely isolating the smell within the cave. And it smells so good. This Xiang Pangyun seems to be a glutton. Dongbua Shueing started to chomp down on the meat. Under his control, the broken bones in his body started to reconnect and reconnect. His internal organs were also gradually recovering. This night was long. Zhongling and Tong San were still able to control their emotions, but Qing Shi was on the verge of collapsing. My brother will definitely come back. He will definitely come back. I will not leave. I will not leave. I will wait for him at the bottom of the Black Wind Cliff. I will wait here. At first, Qing Shi refused to leave. It was Zhongling who persuaded him. Qing Shi, the Black Wind Abyss is so big. When the Snow Eagle comes out, he might come out from somewhere else. Once he comes out, he will definitely go straight to Snow Rock Castle. If you wait at the bottom of the mountain, I'm afraid you will miss him. Qing Shi was finally convinced. The Black Moon Centipede flew back to Snow Rock Castle. Who? In the middle of the night, a cavalry unit arrived at Snow Rock Castle. The leader was Lord Si and of Dragon Mountain Manor. The battle between Xiang Pangyun and Dongbua Shueing. How shocking was this news? The spies that Dragon Mountain Manor had arranged quickly spread the news to Dragon Mountain Manor in Water Rights Town. Lord Si was also shocked. He did not even bother to sleep and immediately rushed over. Rumble, the drawbridge was lowered and the city gates opened. Lord Si and Zhongling personally came out to greet him. How is it? Where is Dongbua Shueing? And where is Xiang Pangyun? Lord Si asked. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.